What are you doing?
Okay, sleeping in a bear costume is not too comfy. I'm mad tired, as the kids say.
Yes,
say that?
That is what the kids say. I've learned of late they're saying mad tired all the time. They don't sleep in this community.
They really don't.
They don't. They're just on nonstop Zoom calls all the time.
How's it going, Louie?
It's going wonderful. I'm delighted to see you. I'm delighted to have you on this podcast. Welcome to Podquester.
Oh, thank you. You're so comfortable. I'm happy to be here. I don't know what you all are about or what this whole deal is. Is this like a Vine video or what?
We call it a podcast, but it's not really a podcast because there's video.
I'll skip it.
It's like a YouTube cast.
Yeah, I don't know. Not for me.
No, not for you.
No, I don't know.
That's understandable. Well, I'm glad you played a game so we could have you. Have you found your clothing yet? Are you aware of what box it is in?
So far I have checked almost every box. There are still things piled on top of boxes that I have not been able to get to.
Okay.
I found
Are
one.
the cats safely out of the boxes?
There's still one packed away somewhere. I gotta find that one. Oh God, might be with the clothes. I don't know.
There you go. I mean,
I
it's a
found
comfy
one
spot.
muscle shirt, but since I don't have muscles, I got him to stick with the bear costume.
That's new goals, new places, new goals.
Yeah. And I do want to preface to the guests backstage that the same bear suit rules apply. I mean, it's just common courtesy. Please don't bring it up.
Can I discuss before we bring in our lovely, wonderful guest the tweet that I told you about this morning that I thought was such an amazing idea that Brendan Smith posted on Twitter? Can I bring that up?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So he said, and this blew my mind, that you were using the bear costume essentially as meta gameplay, that the bear costume represented you hosting Sequester, and that people were not supposed to speak about it. So by you putting the bear costume in front of you was removing the elephant or bear in the room of you being the host of the private minis and putting it on the bear costume, which I thought was a fantastic idea. Didn't know if it was true, but wanted to get your opinions on that.
Yeah, I'm just so glad someone, thinks that highly of me. While I'm going to leave it up to interpretation whether I'm a strategic mastermind or whether I truly cannot just find my clothes in any of these boxes, that's up to you. Am I doing a bit? Am I manipulating meta gameplay in a funny, fun way that makes me seem doofy and kind of dumb and like less of a target? I don't know. Is my clothes and my cat still yet to be found? That's for you to
One can only hope. One can only hope. Let's bring in our guests. We have a lovely panel, a lovely crew. Owen, Jason, Atticus, Stinch, Drew, Jenny, Flea, Julian. Hello, welcome to Podquester. How are we all doing?
Good.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
What a night last night. It was very, very exciting. I thought, like, when rooms went live, I thought, wow, look at this group. Because I feel like a lot of people who were kind of interconnected with a few new people sprinkled throughout. But I feel like, what were all of your thoughts when you saw the videos? Because clearly you probably saw some names you recognized. What were your first thoughts? Who stood out to you?
I wrote, wow, Lana and TR play stupid at the top of my page, just because obviously, like you said, TR hosts this 5 nights a week. So I didn't want to like freak out the first time I saw him. And yeah.
Yeah, and then I didn't see you for like 5 rounds. So
I got eliminated round 3, but yeah.
You know what I mean. I think it was that round was the first time I saw you.
Yeah, it was.
Because you told me to vote for you for safety. You said everyone was doing it. So I was like, oh, okay. So I voted you safe, and then you went out. And I was like, oh, I guess that was not that. All right.
I actually had a lot of check marks, and I was concerned that there weren't many people that I actually even wanted to target at the beginning.
Yeah, I did think that everyone came off super likable. I felt like genuinely it was just like a fun, kind of like entertaining cast of a lot of really dynamic, entertaining personalities. And it was a lot of fun playing with you all. I got really good vibes, as the Sequester players say, from all of your videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at TR setting himself up for the next time in the game.
Right.
I thought that I agree. I thought I was annoyed that there wasn't more boring videos. It was hard to pick. Like, I'm like, okay, hopefully there's 2, and then we can lean on those people for a little bit.
I spent the whole time thinking, wow, mine sucks. And these are all really good. And then the one person I was like, oh, I really like him was Mike. And then he was immediately gone. So I was like, not a great start.
And what did we all think about? Because Audrey obviously posted that it was Batember, which, if you're Alex Day, we were all trying to figure out like what exactly was going on and like what it would consist of. And there were so many conspiracy theories. I don't know. We were counting the fact that everybody in their videos were mentioning animals for some reason. So we had some sort of theory that it involved animals, which went out the window very quickly. But I think like, well over half the cast mentioned a different animal in each of their videos. It seems like what Batember is like a fun version of Sequester with more fun challenges like dance competitions and things like that. Yeah. But were any of you panicked going in as to what you were about to expect and that there would be some huge twist coming?
Yes, for sure. I thought there was going to be like half the cast was going to be bots, and I was like, okay, so now are we going to have to compete for casting in minis against like people who aren't even players? So
I thought it was going to be a lot of least amount of votes, like bottom of the vote count. And so I was really concerned that we were going to have to try to get votes on us for the majority of the game. So
I saw something. Janelle did like a 6-6 cameo, and someone said, Janelle, like, Audrey, you need to get Janelle to play soon. So I thought like Big Brother, like over the top players. Like I was like really worried that Big Brother players were going to come in and then the YouTube chat wasn't going to care about the new players at all. But
it would be hard to compete with Janelle if she randomly came on the game. I think it would be hard to compete for any sort of popularity there. What was announced prior to the game is that the audience LOS was back. Which was confirmed. I don't know if anybody saw this, but Jazz Preet did get the audience LOS and used that. There was audience glue, which I still don't think it was confirmed who exactly got that, but whoever got it used it perfectly. And really kind of like set up the rest
an interesting
of the game,
round.
Set up the rest of the game.
Really did.
And then there was the very interesting Joe the Show thing, which I was so sure I knew what this was. I was so sure that whoever had the best Joe the Show impression would replace Joe the Show modding, and Joe the Show was going to come into the game. It wasn't quite that impactful, but also an interesting twist. Also disappointed I didn't see that because I think I could do a good Joe the Show impression, but I didn't get my chance to do it.
Yeah, I was sad the players didn't get to do impressions because I kind of wanted to do one.
I know.
yeah.
Can I take this time to petition the Sequester community for something that I pitched to Joe the Show, but I think it is like one of the better ideas I've had in a while. Every mini that he reviews needs to have a best in Joe, the most entertaining player. That person will get a nice write-up in the review, and then we can have a best in Joe, either private or all-star game. So it will entice people to be a lot more entertaining in the game. Obviously, the person probably has to make the jury to be in it. So,
so you would be out of the running.
That's right, he would.
Yeah.
We could call it winners at Joe.
Are we worried?
Are we stumbling upon like possibly the greatest private mini concept ever? I don't know.
Because everybody's going to be entertaining. You know,
I do actually love it. My only concern, are we worried that we're giving Joe the Show too much power and that will go to his head and he will become crazed with power?
He's gonna flip a switch and then we're all gonna be boring ass boos in his mind, and we don't want that.
He's the only non-boring ass boo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, one can only hope. I love that idea though. Let's make that happen. Everyone start tweeting and retweeting that. Before we get into the rounds, can I just comment? I'll always comment on Maddie's video. Incredible, as always. So unsettling, so disturbing, and so wonderful with the leaves and the giraffe. I absolutely cannot wait to see what video she puts together for Winners at War, because I'm sure it will be top.
I am just now putting together all these animal things from all the videos. Interesting.
Yeah, there are a whole lot of animals. But going right into it, so to start off, it was announced that you would be voting for elimination, but also for the first bunch of rounds, you would also be voting for safety, which was an interesting new twist. Which it was interesting also because I felt like the first 4 or 5 rounds, nobody even mentioned it. Like nobody was really petitioning themselves for safety. I feel like it was just kind of randomly falling on people, and it was only till closer as we got to the end of it that people started trying to convince others to vote for them. Did any of you consider trying to make pitches to everyone else as to why they should vote you to be safe, or not really?
I did it once on the last round. It was available. That's it.
Oh, yeah. My team said they got me, my original room. So I was like, oh, okay, like I don't even have to do it.
Yeah,
Our original room said that too, and that was bullshit.
I had a round where it was Atticus, TR, and I. And I said, if you vote to save me, the first person that says they're going to do it, I'll save. And Atticus said he would do it first. And then I got it, and then I saved Atticus. So, but it was a small room. There was a lot less people. It was towards the end. But other than that, not really.
We kind of saw a little bit like after someone got safety, their name usually came up a little bit the next round, which, is kind of the catch-22, is that if we see this become a usual twist, like you have to factor that in, is that what round to get it and one round not to, because it could spell danger as you get on later on in the game. But in this round, this was now or much later. So first round vote, if you vote, you lose your vote in the final 12, which is always kind of a difficult decision to make as a snap judgment right off the bat. And round 1 was interesting because this was basically battle of the mics. Now, the issue was that they were both listed as Mike and Michael on the graphic.
Yeah.
Michael smartly went with O'Rear, but I feel like that confused people even more, especially when he went to a room and was saying that, we need to eliminate one of the mics. TR, I don't think you realized at the time that O'Rear was one of the mics.
Yeah, no, I was a little confused. I'm pretty sure he's the one who came into my room and said to Mike and Jenny and all of us, like, we need to go for Michael. And so I was like, okay, yeah, cool, we'll go for Michael. And then when he left, I realized, wait, he's the only one listed as Michael on the player graphic. And then I was like, guess he's going. And then so I just kept saying Michael and Michael and Michael to everyone. And it was spreading. And it wasn't until like the last second that I heard definitively Mike. And I was like, all right, sorry, Mike. But it was, it was a rough, interesting, confusing round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tried to make it more confusing after I left our room because I knew that O'Rear had played before. And I thought, well, if he just accidentally goes out first, then
that's kind of what I was thinking too. I was like, he's the kind of, like he's someone I felt like I could work with. Or if he went home first, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Like, it wouldn't be bad for everyone's game, but it'd be interesting. It didn't shake out that way, obviously.
No.
I spent most of the first round debating Mike or Michael, maybe because of you, Jenny. And when I left, everyone had said O'Rear. And then the next room, everyone was saying Mike. So then it made it even worse because I was like, well.
I was listening to all of this, but I kind of didn't care because I knew I wasn't voting anyway.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't either.
Honestly, I didn't. Who did here vote?
I voted.
Gotcha. And you voted for Mike?
Yeah, just as one of the other mics. Like, initially, I think our starting room with Flea and Atticus, we kind of settled on Melkin just because I think we just randomly just picked someone. And when I heard Mike's name was going out, I just didn't want to be the first one voted out because I was also a Mike that I just voted.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to vote because I knew my video wasn't great and I figured nobody knew me. So
hey, I loved your video. I just want to say, you cracked me up. Your video took a hard left turn I did not expect, and I really liked it.
Thank you. But I figured nobody knew me, so I just wanted to get through that round.
Yeah, it was interesting because I feel like O'Rear almost put himself in danger by default just by targeting another mic. But it did end up working out. So with the 6 people ended up voting, resulting in Mike's elimination. And then Mike gave safety to Lana, who then gave safety to Owen.
Wait, okay, so I just want to make it clear. I feel like I might have totally misunderstood the safety thing. Was the safety thing the person eliminated gave safety, or the safety thing was the majority of all of our safety votes? Because that's what I thought it was.
Oh, yeah, so it was the majority of all of the safety votes, yeah. So
Gotcha, okay, so Mike did give safety.
No, Mike didn't give safety, no. So, Mike,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
last
Just wanted
week
to
they gave
clarify.
safety, the eliminated person gave safety. Last night it was the cumulative votes that Lana won and then gave safety to Owen.
Gotcha.
And then moving into round 2, this was when I realized that maybe my Sequester days are numbered, because it was a coordinated dance competition.
Oh God!
Yeah.
No, this was not my expertise. I was like, "Ugh, I'm in a rough spot.
Basically a nightmare. I hate
Yes,
it.
I agree with that.
Like that.
It was a bonding experience, though.
Yeah.
It was bonding over how bad it was, but
Yeah.
you know, it was fun. It was, and the song, I gotta
Falk.
say, Kevin
Baby.
Falk.
Great. Yeah.
Kevin Falk, I'll pull up the moderator banner right here. Kevin Falk was one of the moderators. He was,
Baby Kevin.
I think he was the first moderator on Podquester, so just know that. But wow, what a voice! 14-year-old Kevin had some pipes on him. Why wasn't he on American Idol or whatever the kid version of that was? Way to go, Kev!
It was like a deconstructed version of All Star. It was really, it was, you know,
It
an
was-
indie,
it
an
was-
indie emo sad version.
It was really sweet, like soft rendition with some just angelic falsetto, and
When he said, "Hey, now you're an All Star," I believed it. You know, so it changed me. I don't know if it was the best dancing music, and I feel like that threw off a lot of people's groove, shall we say. There were some interesting techniques. I believe it probably worked best for Maggie and Stinch, as they had decided smartly to conduct a waltz. And it just so happened that, you know, a sad version of All Star goes perfectly with a waltz. Stinch, what were your thoughts going into having a wonderful teacher in Maggie giving you those moves?
Yeah, so I'm a math major, so dancing is not my forte. And she unmutes and she's like, I got this. I'm in musical theater. I'm going to teach you how to waltz really quickly. So I'm just like, oh God, okay, sure. So I went all into it thinking like, I know Maggie has a huge fan base. She can teach me a simple dance.
how many
We can
people were
coordinate.
in your room?
It was myself, her, and Logan, but Logan dipped, and Jacob Jones, who was the moderator, told us he was having tech issues.
Oh, so it's just the
that's-
two of you?
It was just the two of us,
Oh,
and
wow.
then and that's kind of how I started targeting Logan, which I think led to my downfall. But it was funny because I went on Twitter after, and it was like, Room 4 is twerking, and Room 5 is doing a full ass waltz, thinking they're going to win safety. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, discussing Room 4, I voted Room 4. I'll be more than honest there, because I felt like it was the best overall choreography. Drew, I feel like you kind of took charge in that you had. Do you have dance experience? Is this like one of those Dancing with the Stars situations where a celeb comes in, but they're a ringer? Like, do you know how to dance professionally?
It's like if you're in the woods and let's say you're being chased by a bear or something, right? And you're fighting for
Please
your
don't say
survival.
bear.
When I looked around in the room, I apologize.
Can you use a different
I know
animal,
that's a
please?
touchy
Please.
subject. Yes. A bunny.
Perfect.
Like
I can
a
picture
bunny
it.
from like the Cadbury egg. I looked and I saw that there was 5 dudes and it was going to be tough for us. And the last time I played, I went out second and it was dancing. I don't have experience. And I said, this is it. I got to shoot my shot here and I got to do something. Sequester, while they love their faves, they also love people who go for it. And I knew people were going to be like, I don't want to dance. I don't want to do it. So do something ridiculous, be loud, and go for it. And that's what we did. And I knew once 2 people jumped on, everybody would have to do it just based on the social pressure. And we did it. And then it was like, okay, this is a bonding experience. These are people that I could work with. I don't know if that was true or not because I still don't really know what happened during the game. But it was just it was fun. All right, I'll shut up. I'm talking a lot.
No, it was definitely very good. And there were some other good moments as well. Brady did a death drop, which I feel like the surrounding
I
players,
saw that clip.
Yeah,
Shit, that was impressive.
yeah, that was. You would think that would win for that group alone. What about room 2? What were y'all? It was a bit of a slower dance. Nobody got up from their chair. which
I
thought
feel
was
like
interesting.
ours had the highest degree of difficulty.
Yeah, we were trying to coordinate something beautiful, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
We were-
It was like
we were-
synchronized swimming.
If we had like
Yeah.
a month, it would have looked just.
Yeah,
insane.
we were trying to make the letters LOS across all 6 of our camera frames. So
Oh,
like
do you remember our
extending our arms past our frames to create the letters LOS, and then we're
Yes.
gonna like kind of shake it. But yeah, it was, like I said, high degree of difficulty. I think we would have won had we executed a little bit better. But bonding experience, I loved it. I think that's one of the best twists I've ever seen because I had a blast doing it. It was great having a moment in the game where like you didn't feel like you were targeting people or like voting someone out. We were like creating together and bonding. I loved it.
And my feed was about 3 seconds behind everyone else. And so I knew I wasn't going to be on the beat, and I was having to watch everyone else in our room to even sort of know when to dance. So it was interesting.
And then room 1, I'm curious how the actual vote breakdown went down, like which room got second and third. Because, I mean, room 1 was kind of hilarious as well because it was Malkin and Ben. And they essentially did no prep work whatsoever. Like they just sat in the room and talked strategy and planned who they were going to vote for and who they trusted. And then when the music hit, like Ben basically just ripped his shirt off and went crazy. And that was enough. Like that was.
I tried to start, doing some with the bear costume, and Dylan wouldn't let me. The bond group too. I tried to do like a Chippendale sort of thing. And
Yeah.
it's just.
You were
Dylan
wearing
had
a
a
bear
short
costume?
leash.
I didn't even notice.
You're right.
He tried
Thank
to
you.
bear it
You're
all.
fucking me on that. Thank you.
So it did end up with room 4 being safe, which was O'Rear, Alex, Atticus, Drew, and James. Malcolm was getting traction from the last round there, but this vote resulted in John's elimination. So let's talk a little bit about that and how John went out here.
I think in the first round it was between Mike and John. From what I remember, those were the two
Yeah,
names floating
it was.
around. So I think a lot of people just were like, "Oh, his name's already been thrown out."
Yeah, I wrote down that round it was between John and Malkin. And then I ran into a room with John at one point and told him, I was like, hey, your name's going around.
Yeah, that was the first round too. I heard some Logan names as well, which got more traction in future rounds. So I think it was just the fact that John was being targeted or had his name going out there in round 1.
And TR and I started in a room with John as well as the first Mike that went. And I didn't want to lose anyone else from our room, even though we had not made a room 1 alliance. So I voted for Malkin instead of John.
Yeah, that first round, I had heard a little bit of John, so I voted to save him. And the second round, Jenny, I voted to save you. So it didn't really pan out, but.
Yeah, I felt like John, I was worried for John from the beginning just because his video was a little long. So I thought there might be some trouble there. Like I liked his video, but it did go on a bit long, and I felt like that made him a target.
Yeah. His video was like the only one that I like took notes on. It was like he's a lot. So.
He was. I thought he'd be a fun character. I mean, I'd like to see him come back because I felt like he had more to offer to the game. But he went out, pretty early. So after the John elimination, the group voted to give safety to Ben, who then saved Malkin, which I feel like was very needed because I feel like Malkin probably would have went out the next round if not given safety by Ben. This brought us to another strange round, which was asking if the dress was blue or black or white and gold. I am clearly
Don't
in
forget
the
that
minority.
green was one of the options for a solid minute, very confusingly.
I think it's white and gold. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
but
I played back the Podquester of you, dying on that cross that it was white and gold, and I am not. Clearly, the votes in the game indicated where the majority lied on that.
However,
All I'm going to say.
the white and gold people, in essence, were in a better spot because they had less people to vote for them. So who is truly correct there is my question. So I assume all of you, for the most part, voted blue and black.
Yeah, team blue.
I was white.
Yeah,
Okay, we have.
I was white and gold too.
I was white and gold.
Yeah, because it came down to Julian and
Yeah.
myself.
Right, yeah, because there were
Gold.
only 4 who picked white and gold, but 2 of those were safe already.
Yeah.
So you were really the only 2 who could have gotten votes there. There was a lot of mention. There was more mention of Logan this time around, and also a lot of mention of Stinch, who ended up going home. How did we get there, Stinch? Is there anything that you think you could have done differently to avoid that elimination?
Yeah, if I could have found Lana. So what happened at the beginning of my round, I was in a room with TR and Kevin, and I pushed Logan's name because I thought from Jacob Jones he was having tech issues. He bailed on mine and Maggie's dance party, so it was just a reason to throw out his name. I went to room 2 and I ran into Flea, Atticus, and James, who were all in my starting room, and Flea told me that Lana had thrown out my name. So I went looking for Lana, who I never found. I ran into O'Rear and Brady, and O'Rear told us that both Brady and my name was going out. And I really liked Brady from previous rounds, so I wasn't going to vote for her. So I threw my vote on Logan, but maybe I should have voted for Brady to try to save myself. But I knew once I heard Lana threw out my name, she has a lot of pull. So I knew I was probably done if I didn't find her to try to switch it.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult to avoid, especially with your name out there that early. What did you think of the experience overall? Is it something that you think you'll play again?
Yeah, so I mentioned this in our group chat. So I have actually applied to a private mini, and I'm waiting to find out if I got cast for it for one of the ones in November. So I applied thinking it would take 12 weeks because I know the guy with the shark hat last week said he had been applying forever. So I just applied for the first time, and Atticus and I think we got casted because of the whole Atticus Stinch connection, the To Kill a Mockingbird. So I was really surprised. Like, I became a patron on Tuesday and I signed up on Wednesday and played my first game. So I really have no idea how I got cast, but I had a great time and I'm definitely looking to play more.
Look at that. It can happen. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
All right. So that brought us to round 4, which was the Alex Day twist, which he has been touting forever that he was excited to see. And it did happen. So in this round, everyone gets a bounty as per usual. However, to actually eliminate someone, you have to vote for the person who has that bounty, which I feel like brings up a whole lot of meta strategy that we're going to be discussing for weeks and weeks to come if this round sticks around. But doing it for the first time and hearing it for the first time and immediately having to go about it is a whole different story. So what was everyone's thoughts when they heard this round? And was everybody just looking to pile votes on themselves, or what were your thoughts on how you were going to play it?
I started off the room with Drew, Atticus, Jenny, and Maggie, and right from the bat, Drew was like, you guys can vote for me, I have Malkin. I was like, okay, that's not me, I'm fine with it. And then, like, right after, it was just chaotic that round, because I didn't initially know how it was working out, but I think the consensus was, like, to vote for Drew. But then, like, I thought I was being targeted that round, because I had, like, Maggie and then James and then Maddie all come to me saying that Flea was actively pushing my name. I was like, what the hell? I thought we were good.
I feel like that was a misunderstanding. I was like, oh, my bounty is Owen, so if you want Owen, I'll vote for me. But I wasn't pushing your name. But then I said that, the room emptied and I was alone in the room, and I was like, fuck, this is like the worst thing that could have happened. I should have said it a different way or a better way, or not said it at all. But I feel like that was like where things started going bad for me, because then, you potentially weren't on my side anymore. I thought I had Alex, who then I found out later that he was the one that told you initially. So things started going downhill for me at that point.
I think this was the round that I first got into a room with Maggie, and I wanted to establish a relationship with her. I did not know her from outside the game at all. And so she was my bounty, and I wanted to do whatever she wanted me to do about her name to sort of establish trust. And also I had this weird feeling that she thought that I was going after her. I know that at one point she was like, if you want to vote me, and I screamed out, oh, hell no. So I don't know what that was about, if that was something from before, but that's where I was trying to start aligning with Maggie.
Yeah, I definitely had the strategy of wanting to get votes on me in case I was around for History Can't Repeat. But then I saw my bounty was Jenny, and I'm like, there's no way I want Jenny gone. So like, I had to throw that strategy out the window because I didn't want Jenny gone. We had bonded in room 2 dancing, so I went with the tide.
I think anytime there's a new twist, especially one that's kind of complicated, there's a hesitation and people just want to be safe. So two things. I was lucky that I got Malkin, whose name was already out there. 2, I was like, okay, if there's ever a chance for safety, I'm going to go as hard as I can for it at any point, because I could go out because of a random twist any round. So I'm just going to push it, and I think I'll be able to be safe. Whether I make it to History Can't Repeat or not, I'm good for this round. We'll get Malkin out, whose name I had already thrown out, and I'm just going to go hard for it. And I was lucky that nobody fought against it.
I had Drew as my bounty, and we were in the same room, and I didn't want to get him out. And he wanted people to vote for him, which was good for me even down the line because I wanted to work with you. So I was like going from room to room saying vote for Drew, and everyone already seemed to know. Like I didn't even hear other names really, so it seemed to go smoothly.
Yeah, similarly, Flea was my bounty. Flea and I were in the room 2 debacle dance crew there. So, I felt some sort of allegiance there. I wasn't going to target you. I wanted to put extra emphasis on that, obviously, when I got safety in the following round and gave it to you. And Drew was just the first name that I heard. And I think that might have been like one of the only names I heard that entire round.
Yeah, I have nothing else written for that round. That was essentially, it was kind of a clean sweep, is that once people heard that Drew had Malkin, I feel like everybody just piled on that. And I feel like that's what we're going to see a lot with this round, is basically just figuring out who has already been out, who has that person, and just piling on that one person. It almost, if anything, makes it even easier to vote someone out because the person's not going to fight it.
I will say that I like the possibility of voting someone with safety out here, because my bounty was Brady, who had safety. And then I was at the start of the round, Malkin had my name. And so I went around and I told the rooms I was in that they voted for Malkin, that the Malkin's target was the other person with safety, and we would go to a wheel. So I basically was just telling everyone, if they voted for me, that they were voting for a wheel. But yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah, because we were wondering on that on commentary, like before it was shown, whether like the people with safety would just have each other in order to just like eliminate them, but they didn't, which I thought was an interesting twist on it, because it really did, in essence, give you safety, Ben, in the fact that, you couldn't, nobody was going to vote for you because the person you had safety. So yeah, it was an interesting conundrum. But after Malkin was eliminated, that brought us to round 5, which was a double boot, most and least votes going home. I don't think that there was any way this wasn't going to result in a tie for least amount of votes. I mean, that was basically guaranteed. Logan ended up going out with most, and least was a tie between Drew, Alex, and Julian. So what did we all think about this round, and how did we end up getting it to go to a wheel?
I thought I was fucked because I had no one. Like I literally had no one. Everyone was saying Drew and Alex's name, so I was like trying to get pity votes the whole time. And I thought I had my round 1 or alliance with Drew and Kevin, but Kevin told me Drew was throwing me and Kevin out. So I'm like, I'm just fucked. I know I'm going. So I was just trying to like get pity votes from like the girls and stuff. And I was shocked when it wasn't me who went out for that bottom vote.
So I'll be honest, I was really hoping Drew would go. So I put my vote on Julian.
Yay.
I threw my vote on Alex.
Yeah, I voted Alex too.
I voted Drew.
Yeah, I voted Logan, and then in the revote, I voted Drew and lied to Julian, said I voted to keep you.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I originally voted for Alex, and then on the revote voted for Julian.
Sorry, I initially voted for Logan, and then I voted Drew on the revote.
I just yelled my name.
I voted for Maggie because I thought she would get no votes, and I tried to get Jason to be the lowest vote because I told Kevin, you and me should vote for Jason, and then I voted for Maggie, so maybe Maggie and Jason would be in a tie, but then neither of them were there. So
Yeah, that was the reason why I threw my vote, because I didn't want to. I wanted to at least be in a tie with somebody if I had one vote, and then when I wasn't tied with least votes, I kind of felt comfortable, which is poor foreshadowing for later. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I threw my vote on Maggie. I was trying to take her out.
Yeah.
I threw my vote on her too.
Yeah, that's why she wasn't in it.
I wish
Y'all,
we
this
talked
round
about
was
it.
messy.
There was a moment that I'm so sad I couldn't really test or see play out in full fruition, where I got into a room with Lana and Ben offered up a little code word system to be implemented later in the game.
I would have.
You would have. That's interesting. Where he said that if we needed an LOS played on us and we were in a room with him, to just say, "I'm tired. I need coffee." And then he was immediately wheeled out. So I didn't really get to test that out.
That's my first LOS too. I literally found it that round.
Oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
I was interested by that because when I saw you three in the room, I thought immediately, okay, like they need to like hammer something out here and like promise to the end, because I thought that was a three that should immediately align.
Well,
it was kind of like it didn't happen. Nobody really said anything.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Ben, Lana, and I were in a room together round 2, and we hammered out something. We actually told each other, let's run this game. And then Ben got wheeled out. I went out the next round.
I had so many final twos. And
Oh,
final
really? You
threes.
did? Oh,
Come
no.
on. Come on. It's me.
I didn't want to be like, I didn't
later.
want someone to come in on me making any kind of alliance with like returnees and it be seeing like,
Right.
I didn't want to I was just trying to like be kind of socially aloof and be kind of buddies with everyone and not be seen too much as like being like, Jason, I need to work with you. So that way when Atticus comes in, Atticus goes, oh, Jason and TR are working together. Okay, well, I just wanted to avoid that as much as possible.
Every room I was ever in with you, TR, you were like, I'm not voting for any of you in this room. And I'm like, he's got to vote for somebody. He can't not vote for anybody. Like every single time I saw you.
Largely,
Yeah,
I
right?
will say, largely the rooms where I did say that was the truth. I actually didn't have to lie to people I was voting to too many times that I can think of. I think I maybe lied or withheld information from Jason. Potentially, obviously Owen, Julian. So you three, but I think that's about it. I think everyone else I was really, forthcoming with, and like especially like there were rounds where I would be, someone would be the name, and I would be spreading that name along with everyone else, and I would run into that person, and I would say, "Hey, you're the name. You're up. I don't have any one way or another I want to go on this. So is there someone you want to push or you've been hearing too that might also get traction?" So I did try to be upfront with some people, obviously in rounds like highest even Owen, when like a vote relies on like a secret, and not like necessarily spreading that. Like I couldn't necessarily tell you. Although you voting on yourself that round is interesting.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that. It's interesting.
Drew, I liked your technique this round when you were in a tie. It wasn't really much talking involved. It was basically just going from room to room as quickly as possible and saying to vote for you, which I think probably ended up working. What was your thought there? I mean, there wasn't really much conversation at all.
We have 2 minutes, and I really feel like the more rooms you can get in, the more like movement is so key in Sequester, because if people see you a lot, it's like, oh, well, I've seen them, or, you don't get into the rounds where it's like, I haven't seen that person in a while. So for the tie, it was like, they're going to do what they're going to do. They want me out. I just got to get in there. And I was in one room and I said, please save me. And then I dipped and I was like, I probably should have said something other than that. But, just do what you can, talk to everybody, and then maybe they'll feel like they owe you.
And then that brought us to the wheel, which sadly, Ben, I thought you were in such a good spot. I mean, it was still early, obviously.
It was so close to me. I thought for sure it was going to be me.
Can I just say though, I'm glad out of the 2 options between me and TR, I'm glad it was me, because who knows how often we're going to be able to get to see TR play let alone in certain clothing outfits. So yeah, no,
I don't know what you're talking about in that second part, but
If anybody appreciates a good bit, it's
I
Ben.
appreciate the first part, Ben. That means a lot. Thank you.
But yeah, no.
It was sad to lose you though, because I was looking forward to, like, you know, I've watched you play a few games, I've hosted you in a couple of games, and I was looking forward to playing with you when I saw your video. We like kind of teamed up in that LOS moment, and robbed by the wheel. It was such a loss, genuinely.
Just an honor to be on this cast. It was a you know, a fireworks cast. It was really fun to be on.
Heart hands,
Super
buddy.
I
fun
wanted
game.
to go to final 2 with Ben.
Listen, I just wanted to go to final 2. I didn't care with who. But yeah, everyone go register to vote. See me on Asian Celebration September 20th. There'll be a time. Yeah, and this cast is awesome.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You guys have a good one.
Bye, Ben.
Bye. All right, so that brought us to round 6. In round 6, Maggie got safety, and she saved Maddie. And this was another new twist where you cannot repeat rooms. So essentially, you had to make sure that once you exited a room, you did not go into it again. This was around where Jason was eliminated. It seemed like it was mostly Jason and Jenny being talked about here. What was everybody's approach to the actual room twist? And then how did we get to the vote that we did?
When we started,
For most of the beginning of the game, I was in my starting room. I don't think I left my starting room until like the 4th or 5th round. So I had no problem just staying in the room I was in. I feel like it's better to let people come to you because you can talk to more people that way, and you like run into less people that you were just in a room with. So that was my strategy going into that round, to just stay put.
I started off the round with Lana, Maggie, Maddie, and Kevin. And I think initially, I forget who, but they were like, oh, since Flea was targeting you, do you want to get rid of Flea? And I was like, not really. Like, I still somehow weirdly trusted Flea. So I was like, I didn't want to vote her out. So then, like, I hopped out of the room, and then the next room I was in, it was like TR and Flea sitting there. And I like told Flea about it and everything. I was like, I know that you had me or whatever, and whether you were pushing me or not, I still like trust you. So I wasn't like targeting her or anything. And then they threw out Jason's name, and internally I was like, well, I don't want to do that either, but externally I had to like agree so it wasn't me. But
I have been like a sleuth since last night trying to figure out who said my name, because it seemed like the past rounds. Oh, okay, Drew. All right.
I was gonna say I heard it first from.
I heard it from Drew.
Okay, because like it was strange because like it seemed like traction like snowballed the first couple of rounds, and then it just like my name just seemed to like drop off a cliff all of a sudden.
So what happened was we had a room of 6, and I unmuted and I said, all right, who do you guys want to vote for? And everybody said nothing. And Flea goes, who do you want to vote for, Drew? And I was like, well, fuck. And I just looked and I was like, all right, there's 6 of us right now. Everybody clearly is nervous. And I hadn't seen you a ton, Jason. And I was like, yeah, I haven't seen Jason a ton. I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to say, if we all stick together, Jason's going to be the one that goes, and we're going to all be safe. And then I just hoped from there.
Damn.
I think I may have been in that room, and as soon as I heard Jason's name, I didn't really want to do it either, but then I heard my name in the next room, and so I then was like, Jason, 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 and moved on to rooms saying Jason.
Yeah, I wrote down that I heard this round I heard Jason, Jenny, Kevin, Flea in that order. So you, Jenny, were definitely the second name that I heard the most after Jason. And I know that at one point, so I popped in with Drew and Flea. They said Jason. I kind of globbed onto that. I think Drew left. A couple people maybe came in and out. Jason, you came in at one point, and I think you were pushing a different name. I can't remember who it was. If it was,
I can't either.
If it was Jenny, Kevin, or Flea, one of them. Obviously not Flea. Flea was in the room.
Yeah.
Jenny or Kevin. And so we were like, okay, yeah, sure, cool. And you were like, thanks, guys, thanks. And then you left. And then Flea and I were like, all right, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
He can't come back. So, like, what are we going to do here?
I also got really unlucky with the fact that you couldn't go back to room. So, like, I was going in numerical order. So I started, I think, in 2 and then went 3, 4, 5. And when I got to room 1, the last one, I was by myself with traction like on my name, like really hard. And I'm just like, so I literally just sat there and said, well, I'm fucked. And then just so
I'm pretty sure I started in 3, so I was always one room ahead of you, Jason.
okay. Yeah.
I started alone in what I think it was 4. And I sat there for a little bit thinking somebody would come. Nobody came. I went to room 1. Nobody was in it. And then I went to room 2 and everyone left. And I was like, well, it has to be me. I haven't spoken to anyone. Finally, I figured it out and saw people. And then I just voted for Julian because I never got a name from anyone at all. So I'm sorry. I just heard your name.
Interesting. That's so interesting.
It's fine.
I think one of the disadvantages in that, though, was if you started in a room that had more than the room limit, you had to leave and you couldn't go back to that room.
Ooh,
So
that's a great point.
I was like, oh, cool. So as soon as they said room limit, I was like, I'm not leaving until I know a name, like, which was Jason.
Right.
But
Yeah, it was. And also the point was brought up about how you can't do the pop back in thing, which people love to do to see if your name was heard. I mean, essentially it eliminates that. And once a person leaves, if you want them gone, you do not have to worry. Like it almost incentivizes you to push a person who just left the room because you know that they're not going to come in and break it up. Which
I didn't do a lot of room switching this round. I started in 2 and I went to 3 and I kind of was there for the rest of the round. I also thought this was kind of a short-ish round. So
yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, a lot of the rounds did end up being quicker. I felt like because the dance took a while, I mean, that was a long process and it wasn't even necessarily a round. It was just for safety. And then we had the round after. So I feel like we saw, especially like a couple post jury that were very, very quick. But yeah, so Jason, what were your thoughts on playing again? How did the overall night go for you? What were you thinking?
Yeah, and I've talked about this in the past too. Like I played 716, which is now a famous mini. And I really had a bad experience. So I wasn't mentally ready to play for about a month and a half. So tonight was a celebration for me because I did a lot of work mentally to feel ready to play Sequester again. So I feel like I won, even though I was 7th boot again. At least I'm consistent. But I had an absolute blast last night. It was great.
You did good.
It was a lot of fun having you in that horrible dance room with us. It was
I will also say, too, I have been cast for a private mini that hasn't revealed the cast yet at some point. So look for me and look for the cleaner in the future.
Hell yeah. We'll be rooting for you.
Yes.
Cleaner's coming back. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so that brought us to round 7, which was the highest even number vote round. Julian was voted safety here and gave safety to Kevin. And this was also the round where Josh the Show came in to tell everyone.
Great twist.
Boring. He sounded like a carnival. It was like a carny Joe the Show, I would say, like an old timey carnival Joe the Show, if that's a thing. But he did a good job. Did that factor into anyone's?
I don't know if any of you had it differently, but I found it very interesting that Drew tried to milk him for information from the chat. I found that he didn't give anything, but I was like, oh, that's a good point, because I was just joking around with Josh the Show, because it was Drew, me, and Josh at one point, and I was like, final 3, let's do it. This 3 right here. That was like my contribution, whereas like Drew was actually like, what do you know from the chat? Like, what can you tell us? Who's working together? And he didn't give anything, but it was funny.
Yeah, I figured like that's something we could take advantage of, right? If we're doing good. I mean, morally, it's probably questionable, but like she never said we couldn't do anything, and you didn't have to give information, so you might as well try to make it strategic.
Yeah. I feel like people did that with Braden a few weeks ago also, when he came in as a ghost, like they were trying to get his opinion. So yeah, I feel like it's fair game. If somebody's coming in mid-game, you try to milk them for as much as you possibly can.
I mean, that was the very first round that I heard my name, and then I heard from other people that Josh was the one pushing my name. So I honestly feared that it was going to be me, because I popped into rooms and they're like, oh, we already have people set, just keep on bouncing. And I'm like, okay, like, this is okay, cool, but...
So my room... Go ahead.
No, it's all good. You go.
My room had come up with a 4. We were set on it. And so when he came in, we just completely ignored him, and he finally left.
Yeah, I knew my name was going around like a round or 2 earlier, and when he popped into my room, I just left. I was like, I know if he's here, no one's going to be talking about the game. So I saw him load in, and I just bounced. I didn't want anything to do with it.
Josh kind of threw me off that round, because I started off with, I think, Maggie, James, and I think Alex, and they were all like, oh, vote Lana. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm doing that, because Lana gave me safety. So realistically, I should have said yes and then just not voted for Lana. But then right afterwards, I hopped into a room and it was Drew, TR, and Josh. And Josh was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then he instantly left as soon as I arrived. And I was like, that's kind of sketch. And then I was like, oh, do you guys have a name or anything? And TR was like, oh, yeah, we have a 4, but it's not you, don't worry. And then I was like sitting there for a minute because I think it went to like the mute. And I was like, I wrote down in my notes, TR and Drew have a final 2. And I was really thrown off by them because I was like, why the hell are y'all just sitting in here, kikiing, having a good old time? Like, I was like, there's something going up. And so I voted for myself that round because I thought there was the 4 that TR mentioned, and I thought it was against me. So I'm like, there's no way in hell I want to go. So.
All right, I need to defend Owen right now. I also voted for myself. I feel like in this round, you need to vote for yourself every single time. I stayed in one room the entire time. No one's going to come in the room and say, Drew, I heard your name in even odds. Everybody's scared out of their mind. And your plan is so easily messed up. So I voted for myself. I think your vote sent you home, Owen. And from what I've seen on Twitter, I think my vote saved me. A win in even odds is when we go to the wheel. If it's 1 out of 12, that's like a 9% chance of going home. So if we can just force a bunch of wheels in even odds, we all vote for each other. I think that's good for everyone. You're way more safer. So everybody self-vote in the future. I think that's the optimal.
Oh, I'm never self-voting again.
Sometimes, well, you really can't look at the results of it. I think you need to.
I don't know who voted for me. I know it was.
I think you made the right move.
I didn't vote for you, Owen.
I think you made the right move, though, Owen. If you think you're up, you do it. And if you don't think you're up, it's just one vote on you. You don't know if there's another plan against you, so you either make it odd. At least you have some control where you make a move where you don't just sit back and say, I hope it wasn't me. So I respect you doing that.
I really believe just from doing all of these that it really is 50-50. Like anytime somebody votes for themselves, like it's always one works, one doesn't. Like every single time. Like it's never more to one side or the other. So
I actually voted for Drew that round.
Yeah, I was.
But I kind of wish I voted for Owen because it would.
Then who was the third vote for me? I don't know.
Me, TR, and Alex, I think, because me, Drew, and TR started in a room.
Alex
and Alex popped in, so there were 4 of us, and we said we were going to vote those 4, and then just don't mention it. So if Drew dropped out, you added in. I guess that was where the 4 came from.
I was just so sketched out because I walked in, TR was like, oh, who are you targeting? And I was like, well, nobody really. But then he was like, no, but like who? And I was like, maybe Atticus because we haven't spoken. And he was like, the guy with the Shrek ass tat. I don't think we want to offend the ogres right now. I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. Like,
Owen, see, that's the right instinct. Like you had the right instinct and you try to do something about it. So I don't know. You should not beat yourself up. I think
no, I'm not.
It had nothing to do with you as a person. It was just we hadn't spoken at all. So I was like, I'll vote for Owen. And then I popped over to Maggie's room and she was pushing Lana. And I think that was the start of like the Lana versus Maggie drama.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up because it was an interesting round to do that in because I feel like Maggie had good instincts that obviously Lana was a huge threat in the game, but I didn't know if it made sense in an even number vote round to push it that late because I don't think that there was ever going to be a way to actually get her there. And Lana became very aware very quickly, I believe thanks to you, James, that Maggie was out to get her. And essentially, as soon as you found out, you left the room and went right to Lana and let her know.
I left the room, went to another room, told everybody that we were voting Lana, and then went to Lana's room and said, Lana, Maggie threw your name out, so we got to get her out. And Lana was not happy. I told her later on that night that I also spread her name and she wasn't happy with me, but I needed Maggie out. So I just whoops.
So Owen, what were your thoughts playing again on the night?
It was a lot of fun. Like it was my first time playing. I've been applying for like a month or so. So this was like a great old time. I'm playing on Sunday too. So be sure to watch the Middle Eastern Mini. Shout out to the cast. It's freaking amazing. Top 10 cast. But this cast was really fun. Everybody was so nice. I found myself in a difficult spot because I really wanted to work with everybody, but you just realistically can't. It's a game. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Wanted to make a North Carolina alliance with Drew, but that never fucking happened. So it was a lot of fun though. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Alan.
it.
See ya. Bye.
All right. So going into round 8, Drew, you were voted for safety, and you gave safety to Atticus going into the round. And this was the round that Kevin was eliminated. It seemed to be mostly between Kevin and James. TR was pushing Kevin pretty heavily. What do you all think here? How did you end up getting to the elimination for Kevin?
Sorry, I heard my name. What was that you said?
No, we were talking about the vote between Kevin, with Kevin leaving. It was between Kevin and James, but you were pushing Kevin pretty hard in this round.
Yeah, and then at the very last moment, he came in and begged me and Brady, I think it was, like, please don't vote for me. Like, everyone's coming for me. Please don't. And so I said, like, okay. And I switched and I voted James, but then he was eliminated. So didn't really pan out. But
in that round, honestly, that was my worst round. Like, I was terrified the entire time because I didn't have an LOS. I had no safety. And then every room I went into, they're like, your name's coming out. But then TR said, I heard your name, but it's like, I think it was TR or Drew. Someone said, like, your name is like very thin. Like, I haven't heard that much. And when we went to the vote, I saw Kevin was in the room with me and Flea, and he was typing. He just typed like a lot to Audrey, and I was like, this is it. This is where I'm going, because I thought he had an LOS. So to whoever didn't vote for me, thank you. Save me.
I was pissed that round. Kevin was my only ally, and everyone was saying Kevin to me. I think Atticus or someone came up to me. They're like, "Are you okay with Kevin?" I was like, "I don't even know James. Like, are you sure not James?" And it was just so. This is like the beginning of my end.
Well, I thought you and me were gonna have it out, because during the dress one, you came in and said, "Oh, I've been hearing Drew, I believe it was," and I was like, "You're not even on our side. Why are you coming with us with this information?" And you're like, "Well, I can be an ally," and I was like,
me?
Yeah, you like came to us and said, "Hey, Drew, your name's going out," or whoever it was, and I was like, "Oh, I guess he can be my ally."
I was just trying to, like, because I had nothing to do that route, so I was just trying to like make some allies. I don't know what I was doing.
So if you voted for me, it was all fair and love and
war. Oh, I did.
Oh yeah.
James came to me as well and said something that sort of sounded like an apology, and so I thought, well, okay, maybe this means he's been one of the ones voting for me before, but I'm gonna accept it.
I never voted for you until the next round, until the round after Kevin.
Right. But because of that, I ended up not voting for James and voting for Kevin instead.
Julian, I think you were just nicer than me and were willing to vote for, like, you were willing to humor it. And I was like, I'm not voting for James. So yeah. I just kind of steamrolled you. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, I just didn't want to seem like I was like pushing hard, because I was trying to push for anyone. So I was like, fuck.
Yeah, this was another one of those rounds that went by pretty quickly. I thought it was not a very long round. But after the Kevin elimination, it brought us to round 9. Flea was voted safety, and she gave safety to Jenny. And this round was, if you voted for the person who was eliminated, you would be up for elimination the next round. And this round ended up with a tie between Maggie and Brady ended up leaving. And this was kind of where the main portion of Maggie versus Lana kind of took place after you found out. And I was shocked by the whole thing. I was surprised that Maggie pushed your name that quickly, to be honest. Lana, were you aligned with her at all throughout the game? Were you planning on playing with her? Like, what do you think started all of that?
Honestly, I did not know she was pushing for me that hard. I was actually willing to play with Maggie because I knew Maggie, and I was like, Maggie's a name in this community as well. So I was like, okay, great. I'll work with Maggie. But it wasn't until James came into the room later in, I guess, that round, and towards the end of that round, it was like, Lana, Maggie's saying your name, which I found out later that James was in part of saying my name. And I was like, oh, okay, so James was pushing my name along with Maggie, but then came in the room and told me that Maggie was the only one pushing my name, which was fine. It was a move, and it worked, because after I heard that, it was like, okay, then Maggie, I can't work with you, because I was willing to work with Maggie, but she just was pushing my name because she wanted to get bigger targets out. And I was like, sis, you're a big target too, so I get it, but you should want to keep me around. But that's fine. It was fine. That's the game.
I just realized I self-voted in this round because I voted to eliminate Ginny. And you were safe, so I self-voted on accident.
It was just a no vote.
Oh, it was a no vote? Okay.
Yeah, and this was interesting because this was a case of everybody throwing votes because I thought for sure, Lana, you would have the most votes. I think we all knew in the chat. We still didn't know who had the LOS, but we assumed whoever had it was probably going to use it on you. So we figured you were safe regardless. And as it ended up being Jaspreet, and he did use it on you. So you would have been safe. But you actually didn't end up getting the most votes anyway, because a lot of people threw their votes, it seemed. Because I didn't really hear Brady leading up to this at all. And she ended up in the tie.
That was
I threw on Brady.
I threw on Maggie.
That was the funny. I didn't hear Brady or Maggie at all that round, so nobody was telling me anything. It was like, okay, we don't know who we're gonna do, and I was like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do. So, I don't even remember who I voted for that round, honestly.
Then after the tie, I knew our votes were going to be exposed, and I wanted Maggie out. I was like, this is the time we got to get her. And I was like, okay, everyone's going to see my vote, and I want them to hear me say who I'm going to vote and then see it, because in the final 11 at the drag round, I'm going to tell everybody who I'm going to vote for. They're going to see that I'm straight up, and then they're going to be mad at other people. So I was setting that up. So I told Maggie, she didn't go home, and she was pissed.
She was so pissed.
Yeah. So that backfired.
Oh yeah,
but I was safe for doing it, so it ended up being fine.
This is interesting in the chat what Van said. So Lana, you did have the same number of votes as Brady and Maggie. I didn't rest. I mean, in essence, I would call that a successful LOS play then.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because that's what I found out. Thanks, Jaspreet. Like, when I found out he played it for me, I was like, what? That was shocking. Cause I have not really talked to Jaspreet ever, but I was very pleased and so glad since I found out I would have been in that tie.
Give Jaspreet, put some credit on the name. He had a successful LOS play. That's a successful LOS. Well done.
It wasn't ineffective. It was successful. Yeah. Thank you, Jaspreet.
All right. So that ended after Brady's elimination. That brought us to round 10. So nominated were Jenny, Atticus, Maggie, James, Maddie, Julian, Alex, and Flea. And this was the later round from the first round, the now or later. This ended up with Julian's elimination. So let's talk a little bit about how we got to that elimination. It seemed like, Lana, you were throwing out Maggie's name, but that didn't work either, and it ended up being Julian going home.
I didn't hear Julian's name, but I knew once everybody was like the drag round was going to happen, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do at this point. So I was like, well, I'm just going to put my vote on Maggie, and whatever happens, happens, because that's who I was going for. And it was like, if people would go follow it, they would go follow it. If not, okay. Whoever go out next, as long as it's not me. That was my whole thing. As long as it's not me.
So I went to Maggie right away, and I said, Maggie, we need to put the guns down. We need to just be good until jury, because I knew she was pissed at me. And there hadn't been any LOS plays. And I'm like, Maggie's a returning player. She probably has an LOS, and my ass is going to be out from that. So we came into an agreement that we were going to do Juju. And it didn't seem like he was super tight with anyone. And that's kind of what Maggie's alliance went with, and what the other side went with too.
There were only 3 LOSs sent out in that entire game.
Oh wow!
Because I was paying attention to the screen the entire time, and I got one. Arir got one, and then someone else. I don't think. Ben got one.
Ben left with one,
and Ben got one. So there was only 3 that entire game, and plus the audience one. So that was very odd that there was not that many LOSs. But I didn't hear Julian until I went into a room with Ginny, and Ginny was like, I think I'm going to do Julian. I said, oh, I'm okay with that. Like, sure, let's do that one as long as it's not me. Like, and I got so excited because I thought this was the end. I thought we were going to jury. And as soon as you guys voted out, I was like, yes. And then I counted the screen. I was like, crap, there's another round.
Yeah, it was such a confusing round because I was playing so low key, not really on purpose that much. I just didn't know how to make bonds with anyone. It's my first time playing. I was trying to tell the woman, I'm like, I want to work with y'all. Jason scares me, Drew scares me, I want to work with women, please keep me around. But I just felt like no one was believing me ever. So I was just like, I don't know. But my name wasn't coming up until now, so.
I was sort of close, I think, with Maggie and you, Julian, and I heard both of your names that round, and I actually voted out Maggie because you had put your safety vote on me. So I got safety like 4 rounds earlier because of you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try to save you.
Yeah, I was trying to like do little things to make people like me, like try to connect with Jenny over picking the dress, and then trying to connect with you for voting you, and then I just couldn't like connect with anyone else. I feel like.
Yeah, Julian, you got built up a little bit like on commentary beforehand, just about your org experience. Apparently, you're an org legend from what I've heard, and people were very excited to see you play this game. How did it feel playing Sequester for the first time?
It was really cool. I had so much fun. It was so hard to like try and like the biggest hard part for me was trying to like actually bond with people when there's like 4 other people in a room and I only like one of them. And like the weirdest thing was like the intro videos, I thought like people were going to be cutthroat and everyone was just being so phony and trying to be like nice. And I was the only mean one. I was like, I'm going to serve you guys a ticket home or something like that. And I was like, why are these people being so lame? But it was just so hard. But it was also so much fun. And I really enjoyed this cast. It was really fun.
So you think you'll play again?
Oh, I want to. Yeah, I want to hopefully like be a little bit more aggressive next time.
Awesome. Love to see it. Thank you for coming on.
Bye.
Also, we have another guest here. Our winner, Maddie. Congratulations. Hello.
Thank you. Hi.
So that brought us to round 11, and I feel like this was one of the biggest deciding rounds in the entire game. So mysterious glue person who still remains unnamed.
Is named.
Is it? Who was it?
Ryan Taylor did this.
Really?
Really?
Wow. Well, no wonder it was played so well. Good
He
job,
told me last
Archie.
night he was doing it to protect Maggie because he said we were all the votes to get out Maggie. So he wanted to get us all in a room and keep us in there. I said, but you didn't do it right, because if you really wanted to do it right and protect Maggie, you should have put Maggie in that room with us, and we would have had to bond with her. But you put us in that room, so we all just was like, we're
That was
going
dangerous.
with Maggie.
That was too dangerous.
Ryan Taylor did that. Thank you, Ryan.
I mean, it does make sense because it was played, I mean, regardless of, we had some issues with it, but like it was played extremely well. I don't think you could have played that advantage any better from the outside of the game than he did, because he changed the entire rest of the game and how it went. It essentially made 2 sides. And he put them in a situation, if the 6 stuck together and did it the right way, could have picked off someone from the 5. But it didn't end up working that way because Alex ended up leaving immediately. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think there's a lot to break down in this round. But what were all of you thinking?
Drew did that. Let's just
Drew did that.
Drew did that. I'm not going to take away his move. Drew killed that. He was the one that was like, y'all, this is what we got to do. We'll put all our votes on Jenny, because we can't put it on Maggie because Maggie will drag me. We're like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I think Maggie might drag me, so we're not going to put it on Maggie. So this is what we're going to do. He's like, go put it all on Jenny, and we got to risk it for the biscuit. Drew hyped us up. We're like, yeah, we ain't come here to lose. We came here to win. We're like, because at first we're like, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know. She was like, no, this is not what we're going to do here. We are going to play this game. We came here to win. We're going to risk it. We're going to do it. We were like, yeah, we're going to all put it on Jenny. And then when Alex walked in the room, TR just filibustered him to stay. Him and Drew just made him sit in that room with us. They talked and they talked and they talked. And Alex was like, okay, I got to go. No, Alex.
No, you do not.
You don't leave.
You stand.
You're here. And Alex was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, okay. Alex did not know what to do. TR and Drew was
Okay,
not.
I got nervous.
Best thing ever. Drew and TR made Alex sit in that room with us. We were like, okay, we're going for Jenny. Jenny's gonna be the one. We're gonna do it. It was Like I got so hyped.
It's interesting because like the reason that Alex left in the first place, I feel like, was our room was not doing anything because Maggie was like, we can't vote this person because they'll drag me, and we can't vote this person because they'll drag me too. So we knew that we couldn't get all of us on one person because Maggie was not going to vote for certain people who like the rest of us would have voted for, and so that like automatically gave you guys so much power. And so Alex was like, I'll go get intel, and then just never came back. So, like,
Love that.
honestly, if we had voted for Jenny, I can't imagine that she wouldn't have dragged him, but I don't know if that's true.
I wasn't going to do what they were telling me to do, but yeah, I just voted for TR. I was like, I don't know. And the round ended so fast.
What went through your head? Because you said, and I remember you saying, if we vote Jenny, Jenny is going to drag me. What went through your head? Why did you pitch that if you knew you were going to get drugged?
I didn't, but here's what I knew. Maggie dragged Alona, and she got dragged for doing that. So she was never going to drag Lana. It was always probably going to be me. It wasn't going to be TR. It wasn't going to be O'Rear. So it's the options are getting pretty thin. Then maybe somebody has an LOS, right? I knew that they were going to throw their votes because everybody's scared that round always. So if we stuck together, we could get the person that we needed out. The alliance was, in my mind, it was Jenny, Flea, Maddie, and Maggie. And I needed to get one of those people out. I knew we would be safe for 2 rounds, and we would have the majority the rest of the game. So to me, and I said the audience put us in here. The reason that was just playing to the meta of what Sequester was. We're trying to win, and if we make that move, we're successful. We win the game. And if I get dragged, I get dragged. Like whatever. The people that I wanted to go far were the people in that room. So it's like, you got to go for it. You absolutely have to. And if we convince Alex to do it, she's probably going to drag Alex, and then we're good. It just so happened that Jenny was also going to drag. Everybody was going to probably freaking drag me. So, that's on me for not having a better social game. But I just felt like we needed to do it, and we needed to make a compelling round. And Ryan, sorry your plan blew up, boy, but we were all just ride or die in that round. So that was like great. That was, if I was going to go out, that's how I was going to go out. You guys don't know, but I'm like, I played online Sequester years and years and years ago. I played my first season, I got LOS'd out. I played All Stars, I got LOS'd out. Some shit always happens to me. So it was all good. The jury was great. Like, we every single person in the game at that point was awesome. So I was fine. It was fun, and it had to be done.
Yeah.
So Maggie had thrown out TR in our room, and my game plan involved TR as jury foreperson, basically, for either myself or Flea, because Flea was my number 1 in the game. We had played together before, and I knew that TR had used his safety on Flea, and TR and I had started out in room 1 together. And so I thought there were at least some bonds there that could be helpful in the end game with TR, and I wasn't willing to do TR. If Alex had made it back to our room to say that it was me, I would have voted to get rid of TR to save our 6, but he never made it back. If Alex had voted for me, I would have dragged Alex, and I attempted to make an A with my hands in the room when time ran out to try to get the rest of our room to vote Alex because he did not come back. It was down, the 2 people that it was down to for me to drag was actually O'Rear and Drew. I knew Drew was going after Maggie, and I wasn't sure if he was going after Flea. So that's basically why I dragged Drew.
Now I wish you had drug over here so he could have flushed his LOS.
I know.
That was the only reason I did it. Honestly, the speech was great. The speech was great and everything, but I'm never putting myself in that position. Like, that's not the type of game I play. And I'm open and honest about that. I'm always throwing my vote in that situation unless I have an LOS.
I was gonna use mine too if she had drugged me, but when Jenny, when you said, and I can remember this clear as day, she goes, "Do you want me to repeat the names again?" You said, "No, I heard it the first time. I'm dragging Drew," and I was like, "Oh."
Love that.
Yeah, Insta. What I should have done is thrown my vote. That would have been
Talked us all up and then
but I wanted.
I don't know if anybody would have trusted you after that.
That's
at all.
okay. I would
That would have really screwed you.
I still would have dragged you, Drew, if you had done that, because I would have assumed that.
Did I date it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then I'm happy. I wanted the safety. I wanted it all. I didn't just want.
Yeah.
So it was epic.
Well, apparently
from you and from me.
in the beginning. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I kind of was like, Jimmy won't probably drag me because we got that Alabama connection. I was like, we're 45 minutes away from each other. She wouldn't drag me. So I was like, when you said Jenny, I was like, okay, I can work with that one. Only because I didn't think she would drag me. So I was like, it's going to be one of you boys. So I hope y'all get it together. I
did gasp about it, though, and I almost said something.
Yes, I know.
But
I know. You said, look, if you would have said something like, Lana, I can't believe you did. I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. Because I really didn't, but I knew that was my only choice because it was like, Jenny has got to be it or I'm going to go. It could not be Maggie because it couldn't be Maggie.
Yeah.
None of them.
I didn't want to screw you over anymore, Lana, even though you had voted for me. I figured that it was like just this massive, tumbleweed that had started. So, yeah.
Yeah, I am kind of curious who the other 6 voted for, because Maggie was essentially running that in the fact that she was like, we can't vote Lana, we can't vote Drew because I'll get dragged in either situation.
We didn't even really come up with
Drew
anything.
because she said that, because I didn't think that anybody else would. So I was like, I'll just throw it at Drew then, because it was like, if he goes, then that's crazy anyways. And like, if I get dragged, so be it. But like, I just figured nobody would vote for him because Maggie was like, don't.
That's why I voted for
and
Lana.
this just wasn't enough of that doesn't even look like an A.
I thought that you were just going like this. I did not know.
I was trying
at all
to will everybody to vote.
I also
Alex.
would not have voted Alex anyways. So.
Right, we don't knew each other, but yeah.
Well, it was definitely a big loss to lose both of you all there in one felt swoop. Jenny, how was playing for your second time?
It was great. I really enjoyed the cast, had a lot of fun. I was a lot messier this time, though. I knew I had screwed up my game very early on, and that actually kind of made it more fun in some aspects. This was the first time I actually was voted out. The first time I played, I was dragged. Not dragged. Someone basically had a gun and could shoot one person out of the game, and it was me. So, so it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I do want everyone to know I really did pay off the cops in Russia with Nutter Butters. This is my hat that I got in Russia.
I wish you were doing that the whole game.
Dolls that I got in Russia. Look, Gorbachev. Yeah. It really happened. I really would pay off an entire police station in Russia for you with Nutter Butters.
You need to use it for Sequester. You could bribe people with Nutter Butters.
I would do anything for some Nutter
I would do
Butters.
anything for Nutter Butters.
I'm not even playing the game. I'll do whatever.
I'm okay. You give me another butter. We good.
Lana, you have more of a chance of getting a Nutter Butter. You only live 45 minutes away.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We can go shopping and get a whole bunch of Nutter Butters.
Butters. And then Drew, I was really excited when you came on the screen last night and that you were playing. How was playing again? It's been a long time since you have. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was in 530, but I didn't really play. So it's been like years since I played Sequester, and I was like, if I lose this time early, it's going to be horrible. So I felt like I there was a fire like 2 feet from me the entire game. So it was stressful, but I had a blast, and I'm happy with how it went, and I don't ever have to play again. I know everybody always wants to play again.
The official retirement? You're giving the speech?
Yeah. I don't know if it's official. I can probably be talked into it, but every time I think about playing, it's just misery to me because it's days to overcome what happened. But honestly, I don't have any regrets. I know I played as hard as I could every round. Last time I played, I just felt like I just tried to like coast by, and I was like, you suck. Why did you even apply if you were going to do that? So I'm good.
You definitely made your impact this time. Thank you both for
You're
coming.
you're
Hey, guys.
amazing.
They're awesome.
Bye.
All right, so that brought us to the first round of jury. So safe from the previous round were TR, O'Rear, Lana, and James. And this is the round that resulted in Maggie's elimination. It seemed like this was mainly between Flea and Maggie. Lana, you were still throwing out Maggie. Alex, you seem to want to get rid of Flea. How did we end up on Maggie here? How did the votes break down?
It was interesting because Alex was like, I really want to go for Flea, y'all. We did, y'all got, this is what we have to do. And we were like, but the five of us were still trying to get out. We were like, we got to get out Maggie. We're like, got to get out Maggie because she's coming for us. And they were like, oh, I want to do that. And so we're like, okay, Alex, this is what we'll do. What if we get out Maggie now and then we'll do Flea next? So it won't be, you'll get what you want, we'll get what we want, and we can just have 2 rounds already together. And it was like, because we knew how much Alex was like, we got to get out Flea. And then we're like, okay, we'll get out Flea, but it got to be Maggie first. So we convinced Alex to just help us get out Maggie. And then we were going to honor the wish to get out Flea. And we're like, because safety chain might be coming up. And if it's safety chain, then we could just keep it and make sure we can keep it away from Flea. And then he was like, okay, that'll work. And so we're like, not that me personally, I had no issues with Flea, and I was like, I didn't mind working with Flea, and I wouldn't mind working longer with Flea. But Alex was like, this is just, if we're going to do this, we got to do it. So we made that plan, and like, we just have to do it that way. And when we were like, and even though we didn't really know how safety chain was going to work out, who was going to get it first, it was like, it doesn't really matter because if one of us get it, we'll just, pass it to where we had to pass it to. So that was kind of interesting. It was just like, we just got to get out Maggie now.
Yeah. My whole entire thought process behind that is in the end, I wanted to be like in the final with like Maddie, O'Rear, James, and Atticus. Like that was who I was trying to get to the end, which in later rounds is why I kind of hesitated with my certain actions. So that's why I agreed with that. Yeah.
I didn't know that Flea was another name out there because I think I jumped from a room to then a room that had like TR in it, and I don't remember who else, and Maggie also jumped into that room. And so I kind of knew that like people were going for Maggie, and so we were like, let's come up with another name. And nobody was really saying anything because you guys had clearly already decided on Maggie, but I didn't know that. And so like I just I feel bad because if Maggie had known that the other name out there was Flea, then she would have voted for Flea and maybe there would have been a tie of some sort. But I was like, last second, I was like, Atticus, let's go. And so I think me and Maggie voted for Atticus and nobody else did. And like it wasn't going to do anything, but like TR wasn't saying, no, we're voting for Maggie. And therefore I was like, maybe they're undecided too. So I'll just like try and punt something.
This round was also like so short. Like this round
This is actually
really fast.
Yeah.
I think like you guys were in a room, the 5, so we kind of scattered to figure out what we could do, but it was already too late because you had probably made a choice by then. So I think it was just me and Flea talking, and we were like, "Well, what are we gonna do? It's just us."
I know.
I feel like this is the first time I even heard that my name was out there that round.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
So I heard Maggie's name, but I wanted to vote out Alex because I knew he was coming for me and because he didn't come back to our room that one time. So I was like, he flipped. I had previously voted for Maggie like a few rounds earlier, but I wanted Alex. But yeah, me and Atticus were just like, fuck.
I don't think we even came up with the name, and it was just us two.
See, I ended in the round before the round ended. I ended up in a room with Alex, and I was like, if you vote with us, I will vote for Flea out next. And honestly, when we went into that voting, I honestly thought Alex had flipped over to Flea, and I thought Flea was like that's who he was gonna vote for. So
yeah, it was interesting because by that time, Maggie and Maddie came into the room with me and TR. It was late.
Oh, it was you. Yeah, I wasn't sure who was.
It was later, and Maggie was like, "Look, y'all, I know I was trying to squash this because I said your names earlier. I said both of y'all names, and I was like, Maggie, why?" She was like, "Because y'all are bigger targets, blah blah blah." And so she was like, "So let's squash it." And before we could even say yes, we'll squash it, or no, we won't squash it, the round was over. Like that.
Exactly. Like you guys
minute.
basically like kept her in that room, and then she couldn't even campaign otherwise. Like it worked out in your favor in terms of getting her out because she
It was
stuck in that
literally
room
1 minute. The round was literally 1 minute. She came in the room and said, "I said your name. Let's clear the air. I said your name, and this is why." And then we thought we had to mute. It was like, "Can you squash the beef?" Mute. I was like, "Wait, you couldn't even say yes or no." So it was
There was no way this round was over 2 minutes. Like
Yeah,
it was.
minute.
I want to give PR credit for holding 2 different people hostage in 2 different rounds in a room, because he held Alex in a room and then he held Maggie in a room, and she did not let them go. So
we really didn't hold her in the room. Like she came in the room, she said, "I want to squash the beef, and can we squash it?" Round was over. Like we never had a chance to say yes, we can squash it, or no, we won't squash it. It was over literally in a minute. It was like, "Why did you say our name?" Oh, round is over. Okay, that was it. Like nobody held hot. She just didn't have time to say this is what we wanted to do, and it was like, okay, well, the round is over. We don't have time to talk about it.
God.
So after we got past the Maggie elimination, it brought us to round 13, which was the double safety chain. I feel like the second safety chain here is something that we've never seen happen. I've been waiting for it to happen, and it's finally happened. But we can start with the first one. So Maddie got safety immediately, and then it went from there until it ended up with Flea's elimination. It seemed like TR kind of ran at least this round of what everyone was doing, because when it got to him, he said it's going to go here, it's going to go here, it's going to go here. Only the last link in the chain didn't go as he planned, as it ended up going to Atticus rather than Flea. So how did this end up going as it did?
I mean, just for me, Alex was the only one who I had a firm, like, we are working together thing, because me, him, and Maggie all had said that earlier in the game. So I was like, I've got to save him, obviously, otherwise he'll be pissed. But I also want to try to find someone else who I've maybe hung out with a little bit, but we haven't like actually solidified anything with. So I was thinking maybe Flea, maybe Lana, and then Lana said, I did this for you. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm like, in order to solidify something there, my best move is to definitely to say save Lana, because she came to me concretely with like, you were my bounty and I didn't push you, and therefore that was my play. So that was all I had.
Yeah, I hesitated real hard on that.
Yeah,
it was not. I was not subtle at all. But I didn't want to betray what you said that you wanted to happen, and I felt like I was in a rock and a hard place, because I wanted to give it to like Atticus, Aurora, or James, but I couldn't because you said that. So I didn't want to like break any kind of relationship we had. So that's why I was like, okay, fine, I guess I'll do it.
I mean, if I would have known you wanted to give it to Aurora or James, I would have been okay with that, because I know at some point it would have got back to me. But I was like, I just wanted to get it as early as possible, so I knew I had it. And so that's the only reason I was pushing so hard with Maddie. I was like, Maddie, look, you were my bounty, and I didn't push you at all. And because I just really wanted to get it early, because I don't want to be at the end, and then somebody might be like, you know what, never mind. And so I was just like, but if I would have known you would.
So now we know there were LOSs there too.
Yeah,
like,
especially that part now that played out. I'm so glad. But I knew. But if I would have known you were gonna give it to Aurora or James, I would have been like, okay, maybe I'll be okay with that.
I didn't know you're standing at the moment, so I didn't want to go hold it.
I'm glad you gave it to me when you did, because those LOS plays. Yeah,
I know when it finally came to me. That I know I was freaking out to Arir, and he was like, stop freaking out. But I had that LOS that I did not want to play right then and there. So I was like, okay. But when it came down to Atticus and Flea, who, by the way, were in my starting room, it was Atticus, Flea, and Maggie, and Snitch. And so that was actually one of the toughest things, was trying to figure out who to get rid of. And that's why I had a moment. But I made a promise to Alex, and I said, if you vote out Maggie, I will get rid of Flea. And so that's why I had to give it to Alex. And I did not want to do that. I was hoping for one of them two to have it. But like, that was really tough. And I'm so sorry, Philly.
Sorry, I knew once TR didn't give it to me that I was gonna go because up until this point he was like my only like ally left. I had Jenny left, Maggie, Owen, Julian were all gone. Those were like my biggest allies, I think. So I knew once he didn't give it to me, it was over.
When Jenny left, I was like, oh, that was Flea's, probably her number one. Like, I want to work with her. And then, like, I knew either Alex, James, or you would be the only people there was a chance of giving it to me. So I couldn't even fight with TR because I was like, I'm not going to convince anyone else here to give this to me. But I had a feeling James would give it to me. It just sucked that it was us two. Like, I would have been happy to save you if I got it. I just, there was no way.
Yeah, and it was interesting the way it happened because I feel like it's dangerous to call out in front of everyone like this is the group, right? And TR essentially said this was the group that was in room 1 and we are all sticking together, which it made it that if the safety got to someone else who was not included in that group, really they should just give it to the other people who were not included. But that wasn't exactly what happened. So after Flea, after you were eliminated and gave it to TR, you asked to then be given to Maddie, which I thought would then signal Maddie giving it to everyone who was not included in that group safety. But then you gave it to Lana, so that's what I wanted.
I mean, in the first round as well, because I really was probably deciding between telling Alex, like, give it to Lana or give it to Fleeb. And I was like, just sort of, so partially what Lana said, but also like, now that you mentioned that part as well, it was like, I knew that I was not in that alliance. And I thought that I maybe had a chance of like, if I got in good with someone in the alliance, there are other people who aren't in that group either. And so if Lana's there and knows that I protected her, she's not going to then go to her group and say, let's get Maddie out now. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a good chance for me to potentially at least get on the good side with that group. So even though it's dangerous to let a group like that just keep going, I think I just took the risk and figured it could benefit me if someone manages to get someone else out of them out later. And then for the second round, I just thought there's no reason for me to switch who I've given it to, because I can either solidify these people like further, or it's one round still. So I don't want to say, oh, I'm good with these people, and then be like, oh, never mind, sorry, it's for other people now. So it was like there was no benefit that I saw to give it to different people. But when I saw Alex hesitating, I was like, okay, I'll give it to Lana first, because I really can't trust him.
My mental state was deteriorating at this point, so you're really stressing me out.
Yeah, I was like,
sorry.
Go ahead.
You go. I did give it to you. Well, I gave it to TR and asked TR to save you. 1, so he couldn't pick somebody from that group. And 2, because I thought you would also pick somebody who wasn't from that group, even though it didn't go that way the first time. But,
Yeah.
Thank you for the safety.
Sorry.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for.
Well, I had an issue with that because it's not like we discussed this when we were in the glue round. We brought it up. We said, hey, and if we're in safety chain, this benefits us also, So it was like a plan that like I think we all knew was going to happen. But then once it started being talked about, that's when I really started to get nervous, because then you could start to counter that alliance. So I do blame you for that, TR.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I was
I knew we
nervous.
had the majority going into the next few rounds, and then you blew that all to smithereens.
So good up. I was like, but yeah, I was just excited. I was like, Maddie, please give it to me, because I didn't like the way Alex was hesitating. I was thinking if he got it, he was gonna be like, no, Atticus. And I'll be like, oh no,
Alex, who would you have given?
Oh no. He would have given it to you.
He did give it to you. Like,
he did give it to me, but if I got it before Lana did, it would have been a whole different.
Yeah, it would have been a whole different story. That's why I was like, oh no, because he was like, I was like, no. I could not, because I started writing on the wall when he was like, I was like, he's not gonna give it to me, and if he don't give it to me, I'm pretty much screwed, because I didn't know Michael and James had LOSs. But I was like, it's a possibility. And so if they did, because y'all know I don't get LOSs in this game. Everybody knows I don't get them. So I was like, if they have them, I am screwed. And I was like, I can't go out like that on safety chain because it would have been a new experience. LOL status is something I haven't yet to experience, but I didn't want to experience it last night. So.
Yeah, also because TR gave it to me and I knew that he wanted one of like Lana and a couple of other people. I was like, there's no reason for me not to also give it to Lana because that'll also make TR like me and etc.
Yeah, because it was interesting. TR essentially, after he gave it to you, Maddie, he essentially said 3 names. Like, I would like it to go to one of these people, almost kind of incentivizing you not to. But the thing is, as the round went along, like, I thought James was in the most trouble because I was sure, and everybody was basically sure, that O'Rear would have an LOS by this point, right? Like, I mean, you typically have at least one. So I figured you would have one and James would go. But as it turned out, James also had one.
I want it to be known that Louie did not know who I was, though, until jury. So he did not know who I was. And then he was like, oh, I know who he was. And I was like, cool, thanks. Like, that's nice.
We had only spoken like earlier that afternoon. I don't know. I can't connect. I was saying this before we went on air. I don't connect people's little picture with like seeing them in real life. It's very different.
But that moment, when Atticus, when you gave it to me, and O'Rear, you said I have an LOS, I went, oh crap! Like, and then that's why I was like, Audrey, I have one. Can I please play it now? Like, but that's iconic. I've never seen that happen. That back-to-back people, and then Atticus, you were just the fault.
I can't even be mad because there was literally nothing I could do.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There was no point in the round where I could have been like higher. There was nothing unless Flea picked someone else. Like, that was it. So I couldn't be mad, and that was fine with that. Like, if I'm gonna go out, at least I did what I could.
When I did that,
LOS is the best way to go.
When I did that, I thought that you had an LOS, and so I literally thought that I had missed people, and so I thought there was gonna be more LOSs going on this chain all the way back because that would have been iconic too. But
oh my God! Could you imagine if Atticus had an LOS? It's like, Atticus, play my
That
LOS.
definitely has not happened.
Oh my God! Alex would be like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
Early in the game, I got into so many rooms by myself. I don't know how I pulled it off, but I was into a bunch of rooms by myself, and I saw an LOS just pop up. I'm like, my stream's so far behind, I can't even get there.
You even tried to send it.
The LOS you skipped was the LOS that I got, and when I hit LOS, I sent it in. Well, I also closed out of my Skype chat at the same exact time, and so I had no idea who got it. And I logged back in, and it was like, "Congratulations, you got the LOS." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, that's nice." But I thought I had missed that.
It was. I mean, it was a crazy round, and like you said, if you're going to go out, that's a way to go out because that's something that will be remembered for sure. First off, Flea, always great to see you. Was very happy to see you play again. And this is your best performance. You just keep improving. You just keep. That's a good sign. How did this time compare to the others?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad I finally made jury. I feel like I need to take a break. I've played 3 Patreon minis in 30 days. So
I think that might be a record too, honestly.
So it was great. I love playing with all of you.
It was awesome playing with you, Flea.
Yeah.
I had a lot
We
of
were
fun
playing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
And,
I wish I could have played with you more.
Me
When I
too.
saw your name, I was so excited.
all 3 of my games, I went out during a double elimination. So maybe if I play again, someone can get me out solo.
There you go. Thank you for coming on. And then Atticus, how did it feel? This is your first game, I from what I can tell. How was playing Sequester for the first time for you?
I had a blast, and thank you to everyone for playing. This was going to make me look bad, but I had no idea going in. Like, I'd seen a couple, but I was very, very new, so I probably didn't make as many moves as I should have, but I was just kind of figuring out what's going on throughout. And I think hopefully I'll play again, I'll be able to like have more agency.
The second game is a lot worse.
I
Guarantee it.
I didn't even know there were 22 people at the start until like we're at 12. I was like, I can't vote this round, right? And they're like, no, we have 14 left. I was like, oh, okay. But I just need to get better Wi-Fi because that was the biggest issue. But other than that, I had so much fun and I appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for coming on.
Have a good
Thank you, Atticus. Bye, Flea.
Bye.
Hope to see
All
that
right.
Shrek tattoo someday.
So we had 2 rounds to follow it up of both competitions, which we love to see.
Oh no, we would not love to.
Oh
see.
no, that's
We would not love
memory
to
puzzle.
see
I was
it.
so glad. I was so glad. I've watched like every sequester that I've watched. Whenever it's a puzzle, I'm like, oh my gosh, please let me get this in a game, because I just am the kind of person who like does those things for fun. So like I knew that regardless of who's in the game, I'm gonna be like slightly above average, so I like have a chance at winning. So I was so happy that there were 2 competitions.
I think I pegged it. A lot of people, but like as soon as we saw a competition, we were like, all right, Maddie's got this for sure.
I don't know why. I don't know why anybody else would know that, but
we went into that and Audrey was like, okay guys, we're running behind, like we're running out of time. And so there was like all those different options of like puzzle, like memory cards. And I said, okay, since we're running out of time, she's going to do like 16. And then she chooses to do 36. And I said, oh, I'm screwed.
I was doing okay with memory. Like memory, I was getting it. I was like, okay, yep, here we go. I'm getting it. Finally, I'm getting it. And before I was like, I'm getting in my groove. He's like, Maddie won. I was like, oh, great.
The
okay,
cards took so long to reset when you got them wrong.
it's so slow. It's so slow.
Audrey laughed at me at one point because I believe I was the furthest behind everybody. And she flipped to my screen and she goes, this is James. And like started like giggling. And I went, fair enough. Okay, I'm out of this competition. It's fine. Like,
I'm surprised I even won that. I have no idea. Like I was clicking the same cards over and over again. Like I don't even know. I wasn't learning.
Same, Alex,
I was
same.
like, I don't know.
You feel so stupid because you think you have it and then you do it. It's like this was so obviously not the right card to flip over, and then you have to wait like 3 seconds for it to come back. So it's just like, damn it.
And
I was also just really happy because I felt like I really needed to do it there because I knew that you guys were still in that like group of like the glued people. And so I figured like I knew Alex was, I wasn't sure if he counted as being in that group or not, because I wasn't sure whether you guys were like mad at him for not voting Jenny or not. I hadn't gotten a sense of that. And so to me, I was like, I'm possibly like the only person not in that group. So like if I don't win right now, then I could be screwed, but I got lucky, so.
Yeah, and the round once the safety was given, Maddie and Alex won immunity. But talking about like how the vote went, it ended up changing really quick. Yeah, because essentially it was said at the beginning that Alex said that you had a deal with James and O'Rear, and we're going to stick to that. But then James, you threw out O'Rear, and then eventually it all went back on you after you said that.
I'm dying.
Yeah, I mean,
in complete honesty, I was expecting Audrey to throw out another LOS. So the entire time during that round, I was not listening. I was watching the monitor, waiting for an LOS with my finger over the enter button. And at one point, I heard O'Rear. And so I said, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with going with O'Rear. And that is where as soon as I said it, a light bulb went off and it was like, no, that was Alex saying we're tight with him. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm gone. Like,
I tried so hard to make sure James, O'Rear, and Maddie were in the final four. I was so sorry. Then you did that. I was like, what are you doing?
I wish that I just totally even forgot to mention in like my final two about this, because I feel like I actually had like a big, because Alex was saying, and let's go Lana or TR. And I was like, well, I like just sort of worked with them in the safety round. I don't want to screw that up yet. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. Let's do between James and O'Rear. And so I like feel like I flipped it to be considering between James and O'Rear. And then James said that. And then it was like, okay, sure. Whichever one of you wants to throw yourself under the bus, that's fine. But I was like, sorry, Alex, I'm not going to do that. And I knew that Alex at the end of the day was loyal to me for sure as well. And so I was just hoping that he would be like, okay, fine, we'll just do it. We'll just flip.
At one point, so I went to another Zoom chat after this, and someone goes, because Audrey had popped in right as O'Rear goes, I'm voting you. And I had said that like Audrey popped in. So I was like, no, go ahead. And so everybody that I talked to was like me telling O'Rear, yeah, go ahead, vote for me.
I thought that's what you said. Yeah.
I thought you had another LOS at that point.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were trying to fake.
Saying, like, go ahead.
I thought you were bluffing an LOS and being like, go ahead, vote for me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was happening. I was like, oh God, this is not good.
I half tempted one to type, I'm playing an LOS for myself just to see if Audrey would be like, yeah, here you go. Like, here's one. But no, that was my mistake, my fault. No, I did want to go to the end with Alex and Arir and Lana, because like Lana was one of my mentors, and the mentors take over. So I knew going in, the moment I saw her, I was like, I have an alliance with her. I never have to stay in a room with her. I know she's got my back.
Oh no, he pushed my name.
And then I pushed her name, but I pushed your name to get another person out. I love how TR just randomly booed in there.
Yeah.
But no, it was. I wanted to go with you to the final. You guys to the final four. I didn't want TR to go to the end though.
Wow. You do know I am back, right? Like.
Oh yeah, I know. I see you there.
Oh, okay. Cool. Just making sure.
James, it was great to see you play, even though I didn't realize it was you until a few rounds before you left. But I mean, you went really far and you did really well. What were your thoughts playing this game? I know you're running Monday's one, correct? Thursdays, the fans' favorites.
When I went in on 8-12 with the mentors takeover, I went out third round due to the safety room roulette because I was in a room of all girls. And I dipped out right as soon as the round began, so that sealed my fate. And then I kind of wanted a safety room roulette, so I could have redemption with that. But I told Audrey that I wanted to come in here and prove to everybody in that mini that I could make it as far as I did, and making it to final six. Like I freaked out in one room, and I went into a room and I yelled, "I made jury," and I have a freaking I said the F word. I said I have a fucking LOS, and I screamed that into my microphone, and so I felt bad for everyone who was in that room. But no, to make it this far was awesome. But yeah, Thursday, fans versus favorites. It's gonna be a fun one. There's 10 fans versus 10 favorite players from the live shows, from people who've only played just once, who had a very big, strong fan base, and it's gonna be epic. And I am excited to see. There's a twist that's never happened before. That I hope is going to happen, because I've talked to Audrey and Renee and all them about it. So hopefully that twist happens, and yeah.
We're excited for it. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye. It was good playing with you.
Yes.
All right. So that brought us to the final five. And this was Tower of Hanoi, or you finished it like halfway before anybody else did. Like, had you practiced? I was like, I guarantee you before it even started that you had practiced this.
No, you know what? Actually, I hadn't, and it was because I was in a group chat with people that were talking about it, and I was like, I'd never seen it played in a mini before. Like, I didn't realize the connection, so I was just like, whatever. I'm like, why? But I don't know. Like, I feel like it's the kind of thing. It's like that thing clicks with you mentally, or it doesn't. Like, you can't practice that, and you can't get the formula down. Or you just get it. And I felt like I just got it. Like I just knew what I needed to do each step. So, I mean, I just kind of got lucky there.
Yeah, it was really quick. It's on my to-do list today, actually.
Oh, yeah.
To play Tower of Hanoi for the first time. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how bad I am.
Yeah. I had played it at like 10 years old when I had an iMac, and it used to come for free on the Mac as like a game to play, and that was about it. So like I knew that I had some experience and I could potentially like do okay, but I just had no, like, if like Orir was so far ahead of me, like I thought I was screwed too, because like then Audrey started saying, "Oh, like Alex is getting pretty close," and I was like, "Oh no!"
And so
I can do this. I can do this. I was like shaking so hard. I think I started shaking by like final 9, and I started like convulsing, and I couldn't. But I was like, "Oh no, no!"
That round still that's me.
Yeah, there was no way I was finishing that puzzle. I tried it. Like I just got pretty decent when it was on 3. And then she was like, "Okay, so let's do 5." I was like, "Oh shoot, I don't know how to do 5. I've never even attempted to try 5." And so I was like, "I don't even know." I knew there was no way I was winning that one. I was like, "What happened to regular old jigsaw puzzles? Why did we do that?"
Yeah, it was very, very humbling. I have not felt as dumb as I have trying to do that tower. So kudos to those who were even getting remotely close.
Yeah, because I was not. I think I was on the boat with UTR. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just putting pieces right back where they started from. I was like, this is stupid. I didn't like it.
It also didn't help that I didn't know you're supposed to keep continuing. I didn't realize it was 2 both times, so I stopped each game. And then I was like, she's like, "Okay, we're waiting for the next person." I'm like, "Oh, let me keep going." So
Orir and Maddie were safe. And this round, this is the round that TR ended up being eliminated. But what was interesting is that I thought TR would survive because O'Rear, you threw out Lana, which I always, like, as it was building up, I realized that you were going to be the one to probably call it first that one of Lana or TR needed to go, right? I think everybody knew it was in your best interest in the game to kind of split from that group if you had any shot going to the end. It was just going to be a question of which one it would be. Did you always have that in your mind that at some point you were going to have to split up from that group?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to do it at 6, but things just kind of fell into many different pieces and my name started to come out and I didn't want to throw their names out and then have them turn on me. So luckily, James kind of blundered there and I was able to slide through. So I would have done it at 6, but it became even easier at 5. And actually, yeah, I did. I threw out Lana's name and I had Brent Wagamont's tweets reminiscing in the back of my mind saying, how dare you take a winner to the end? This was so stupid. So
yeah, thanks a lot,
I'm like,
Brent.
but
My plan was at 6. The way the safety shook out with 6 and 5 totally derailed my plans, which were, and they were probably foolish, but I was really gonna try and take Drew's Angels all the way, baby, and it did not pan out, sadly, of course.
But I was completely blindsided this round too because I did vote Lana. I didn't vote TR, and I thought everyone else was gonna vote Lana as well.
I flipped to TR. I flipped to TR.
Thank you.
Because when I was thinking about Final Four drags, I was like, I think Lana's gonna have my back more than TR will. So I just we can talk about Lana, but I just think it's in my best interest to vote TR. So I had to.
Yeah, Maddie, you were probably who I would have threatened with the drag, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
Well,
I knew that.
4 and 5 had to be TR and Lana for me, and the order didn't really matter. I just felt like Lana would be the easier name to push since I had the story that she was the winner and everything.
And I only won a private game, so let's just you acting like I win all these Patron. Y'all acting like, oh, she won all these Patron games. I won a private mini. Thank you. Let's get that clear. Robin put that in the chat.
It's still impressive, Lana.
It's fine. I mean, I love it, and I'm gonna take my win, and I'm gonna wear my crown very proudly. But let's not act like I won. I'm trying to get on the leaderboard just like you.
Yeah, you're right.
So but I really was trying to work with TR to the end. I wanted to go because I was like, if TR is in the end with me, I have a story too. I'd be like, TR is a bigger name than me. He's the host of this show, and I felt like I had a way to probably, maybe, possibly convince the jury that look at what I did. I got here to this end with somebody like a TR and I made it, and that would be my story. But Michael was like, well, Lana won. And I was like, shoot, this is gonna come out like this. This is how it's gonna happen. And I knew Maddie and Alex were sticking together, and I knew that they would go vote together. And I was like, there's no way I can convince them to, they weren't gonna. Michael was safe. So it was either me or TR because they were not going against each other. So I was like, as much as I wanted to work with TR, I had to flip it and be like, y'all, TR is just as big as I am. He hosts this whole show. He knows all these strategies. He spent most of his days watching this game. Don't vote me out. And it was just like, I was convinced at the end it was going to be me. I just thought, because Michael was like, it's Lana. And I was like, hey, Maddie and Alex.
I right before the round ended. I mean, I don't know if Alex heard this, but I said I'm voting for TR, to tell Alex, because I thought maybe he'd vote with me if I said this is who I'm voting for. I don't know if he heard it or not because the round was over, but
I blacked out this part, so I don't remember why I voted TR, but I voted TR.
Well, maybe that was why. I'll take credit for it.
Well, just for the record, if anyone plays with me again in the future, when I'm hosting, my eyes and my mind totally glaze over during the rounds, and I just kind of zone out. So don't think me to be some strategic mastermind over here. I've never made it past 4. Let's keep that clear. Let's get that clear.
It's true. I'm always amazed how responsive he is through text during the game. He responds to me in 10 seconds. I'm like, aren't you hosting? But no, he's not paying attention at all. So he's no threat whatsoever moving forward.
Well, I gotta say, I have to give credit to Maddie here because this is one of the examples where I was less confident going into the final 2 because she did have these types of moves over me, and the fact that she was setting herself up better at 4 and leaving me out of the vote. So it was an impressive move, and it was the better move for her. So.
It was an interesting round. I think Lana what got you the win there is the fact that you went so quickly. Like you diagnosed the problem and you went fast and you went hard and basically closed out the round with only you talking. Like it was only your voice being heard, which I think was what ended up convincing Maddie and Alex to go that way. So it was very impressive. TR, you didn't tell me you were going to be there, but my heart was warmed when I saw you in your attire, which was not a costume. What were your, I mean, you haven't played in a very, very long time. In Sequester world anyway, in real life, it wasn't a very long time, but in Sequester world, it's years. How did it feel getting back there and playing again?
You know, I've been on the fence about playing again. The last time I played, I wasn't the host of mini games. So, I figured people would target me for that. Even though I'm not a winner or anything like that, but I get it. I get the reason for the target. So I was hesitant to play because I was nervous. I was just going to be one of the first 3 boots, and it was going to, you know, I would have 0 chance of going anywhere in the game. So I'm grateful to everyone who worked with me and saved me and didn't eliminate me first. You know, big props, big ups to all of you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. This was definitely, I think, one of the more fun I had playing a mini game. Like I really, really enjoyed this game. I thought it was an awesome cast, super fun, super strong, like gamers, strong jury, I think, like great winner, of course. Final 2 was awesome. Like 0 complaints about this game. Kudos to you, Lana, for flipping it on me there. I probably should have fought a little harder, but you know what? You went for it more than I did and you earned it. So good on you. It was an honor to play with you all and to be eliminated here, because what a great Final 4.
The honor is all ours.
I was so excited to see your video pop up. I was like, if I wasn't already sitting on the floor, I would have fell on my chair.
The highlight of the entire mini for me was when your video came up and O'Rear's face and how his jaw dropped basically to the ground.
I'm excited too, though. Like I watched TR's first game, and I like from then, like I remember tweeting about it and having so much fun at the end. I remember how much he fought at the end, how like he was screaming and like it was so much fun. He had the right amount of energy, and like that he was somebody like when I was first introduced to Sequester, he was somebody I wanted to play with. So it was like it came full circle, and I was so happy to see him.
I said, when TR was like, I want to play with TR. And so when he played, I popped up. I was like, okay, this is great. I know I'm going to find him in this game. We're like, TR, we got this connection. I got you. And as soon as he popped in the room, we like didn't even have to say anything. He popped in. I was like, I got
Yeah, exactly. I heard on Podquester, they were like, why isn't like TR and Lana like saying, let's do Final 2? It was unspoken. I didn't have to. I wasn't going to come after Lana.
I was not coming after TR. I was like, this. And even when I heard his name in rounds, I was like, somebody's like, oh, they're coming after TR. I was like, oh, really? Okay, let's go find somebody. And I flipped it. I was like, let's go after this person. I was like, oh, it's John. That round with John went out. I was like, nah. Can't go after TR. I didn't have to tell TR we were Final 2. He knew we were Final 2, and I knew we were Final 2. And that
Absolutely.
Was it.
Hands down. I want to say 2 more things before I pop out and let you all talk about Final 4. One, to clarify, in the chat, someone said I was implying I'm bored by the mini games. That's not what I was going for. I'm trying to steer the narrative away from targeting me because I'm a host. That's what I'm trying to do if I ever fucking play again. I love Sequester. I eat, breathe, and sleep Sequester. It's consumed my life these last few months. So don't think that I don't watch the games and I'm bored by them. It's my pathetic attempt to try and be like, yeah, don't come for me. Let me play for a little while. But I forgot what the second thing is, so I'm just gonna say bye, everyone. You all were great. Oh, the second thing I wanted to say was, because I wasn't here for it, was getting glued at Final 11 while a major hindrance in the moment was, I think, one of my most enjoyable moments I've ever had in a game. I was so scared. I am usually scared to vote in drag rounds, and I was so close to not voting Jenny. And I had to like weigh those odds of like, well, do I think I'm going to get dragged here? I don't want to piss off a majority if I like if I dodge the drag, and locking in and having Drew give that impassioned like salesman battle speech sort of thing that all solidified us. It was an awesome moment. And when he got dragged and like saluted us and left, it was very like poetic, and it was a lot of fun. Again, I can't emphasize enough. Great game. Kudos to all of you. I'll shut up now. Bye.
Love you, TR.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, and that brings us to the final four. It was Lana, I felt like you threatened everyone possible. You threatened everyone in the game, everyone outside of the game. Anyone who would listen, you would drag.
Because I knew what was going to happen. I saw the writing on the wall because those three were tight. They said they made an alliance, and it was like it was not going to be broken. And I was
with O'Rear, I wasn't tight.
Yeah, I was in between both alliances.
We're in rooms like
Alex was the connective tissue there.
Yeah, right. But I knew I was like, Alex got to be the one to go here, and I was like, that's why out the gate I was like, Michael, if you vote against me, I'm dragging you. Period. Because I knew Michael was coming for me the last round. I'm like, I can't let him put my name out there again. So I was like, I have to go for him and try to get him to not vote for me. And maybe I can convince Maddie. I was like, maybe I can convince Maddie to not vote for me. But then when Alex was like, I understand you guys, whatever you feel like you have to do.
That was it for me.
No, you gave her the out. And that was the thing. I was like, that happened to me in my women's meeting with Allie. I was like, because I didn't want to vote for Allie, but I was like, she gave me the out. She said, Lana, I will never drag you. And I was like, oh, never? No matter what. She was like, I will never drag you. And so I was like, okay, then that's my out. And I was like, Allie, I didn't want to, but I had to. And when you gave Maddie the out, I was like, okay, I might can stay. But I didn't. But then when, so that was my back on it.
I gotta say, so at the very beginning when you said that you dragged me, like I just panicked, like, and I didn't hear you threaten anyone else with a drag. I found that out later, like it was happening right in front of me. But I was so paranoid about being dragged, I didn't even know that. So at that point, I was never gonna vote for you, Lana, because I see that situation so many times where people. They're like, okay, they're bluffing. I'm like, I'm never putting myself in that position. I'm going to do what the person says, and I can hope they get dragged, or I'll just battle it out at the end. I mean, that's all you can do. So even when Alex was like, well, you were going to drag me, I was like, did she say that? I was like, so I was just panicked.
I put it out there.
I am curious, Lana, because I was sure, even though you were threatening everyone, I thought you would probably still drag O'Rear at the end of it if you were voted out. Was that your plan?
If Michael would have voted for me, I would have drugged him. Period. It was like because we had agreement in room one in our starting room. I told him I would never vote for him. I was loyal to him, and I was loyal to the end with him. And I was like, if he votes for me, I will feel betrayed by that. So if he would have said my name, I would have voted for him. I would have dragged him. So I was very serious about him. Maddie and Alex, if they would have voted for me, I probably would have had to figure out. But O'Rear was the only one I actually made an agreement with. I never made an agreement with Alex. I never made an agreement with Maddie. So if they could have voted for me, and I would have had to figure out what to do. But O'Rear was the only person that I would clearly drag if he voted my name.
Yeah, looking back and reflecting on it, I never expected to get the Final Four, so I had nothing planned. I was like prepared to get out before jury, honestly. So when I got here, I just thought to myself, I know, like, I felt good with Maddie and O'Rear, so I was like, and you were saying everyone's name, so I'm like, at this point, I was like, I'm voting for Lana because, like, why she's saying everyone's name, so I thought that was what was going to go. Looking back, I should have said, like, hey, Maddie and O'Rear, like, I'm not, like, dragging you guys. Like, we need to go for Lana. I've been loyal to you for the entire game. After I was like, it's probably what I should have said, but it came off a little differently, so.
Yeah, I think my initial plan, I guess, like before the game, going into a Final Four is definitely to like threaten a drag. But when that got done first by Lana threatening O'Rear, I was like, let me just wait a second, see how it pans out. And then Alex said, let's go for Lana, but then did not threaten me. And I felt like that was an indication to me that I didn't need to threaten him to do anything because it wasn't coming on me at all. So then I had to just sort of scope out what was going on. And obviously, yeah, when Alex gave me that out, it was like, this is a fine place we got so far together, but it's like, if you're going to give me that out, I have to take it. There's no other route that I have, especially when Lana and O'Rear both said, I will drag you, Maddie, if you vote for me. So it was like, well, I don't really have another option. And if Alex had also said he was going to drag me, I don't know what I would have done. But at that point, that was my play, was to flip on Alex, even though we had worked together for so long.
and even when we go into the drag part of it, I sat there. When I said to everyone to say, because I was actually considering dragging or Maddie at that point. I really thought about it, because I was like, I low key, even though looking back, I didn't say much. I should have said more. In my mind, I said a lot more, but I was like, I kind of felt betrayed. I was like, damn. But then at the end, I was like, I guess I can't be bitter about it. I mean, you had to do what's best for your game. And no offense, like nothing against you, Lana. I was like, I guess I'll just go with Lana on that one.
I was just like, I knew from the round before that I had to fight in this round. I knew there was no way that I was going to just be able to sit back and let them, because if I just sat back and let them do it, they would just go vote me out. And so I was like, okay, let's just get through the vote. If I can get through the vote, maybe I can convince him not to drag me. Maybe. And that's why I was fighting so hard, because I was like, I really, 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 really wanted to get to that final two, but I knew it was going to be an uphill battle, especially when Mike was like, Lana already won. And everybody's like, that's in everybody's mind now. Like, oh, she already won this game. And we hadn't won before. It's the game. And that was the thing. I knew it. And I knew coming into it, because like, I wasn't planning on playing this game. And I really thought at the last minute sent in my email at 3:00 in that afternoon, because I was trying to play with somebody.
Me too, literally the same time.
Because like somebody was
later.
Like, right, they were like, we want to play together, and I was like, okay, and they were like, this is the only weekend I can apply, and that person didn't get in, and I did, and I was like, why am I here? I don't even, because I got too much going on this week. I already got to play in this private winners at war thing on Saturday next week, and I don't, I'm like, why am I here? And I
get another. I forgot about that. You get another shot at the leaderboard. That's good. I feel like that's hard to get. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
you got it. You can do it.
Oh yeah, right. 40 people. I'm just going to that game just to play. Just whatever happens, happens. That's a lot of people.
That's gonna be so much fun.
40 people, but you're the only Lana,
Yeah, can we discuss Lana's video also? I love the new meta. Here's the new meta of if you're a big enough name, you don't need to speak, you don't need to put who you are, nothing. Just pictures and music. Everybody knows who it is.
Yeah. It was almost like a video that you would play like at the dinner after a funeral or something. Like I was
I
was like, oh no.
Lana, when I saw your video, I said that, I was like, what's happening?
I loved it.
Like literally, I did it in the car 10 minutes before. I was just like, okay, I'll do it. Because I was talking to the person, messaging back and forth, and they were like, I want to do it. I'm going to do it. I'll apply. And I was like, okay, I'll apply then. I'll do it. And I just did it. And I was like, how am I going to, I don't have time to like, hey, this is Lana. So, because I was out and I was about, so I was like, let me just put these pictures together and just go and just see what happens. But yeah, that's gonna be my new thing from now on. So anytime I'm in the
that's a signature.
I'm not gonna do videos. I'm not gonna say anything.
You don't need to.
It happened the other night too in the Greek mini. Hannah Dolan didn't say a word. She was just like, I don't know, she was just drinking water or something. And just put it down, and that was it. That was our whole video. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. So yeah, from this point on, I'll make it a decree. I will no longer speak in my videos.
Nice.
But yeah, I knew I had to fight. I knew it.
Yeah.
It was just like,
I mean, I was worried because you were fighting really well. So I was like, I know I've got to get in there and be like, I had a good reason to vote for you. Like, you gave me a good reason, because otherwise it was like, I knew that I did betray Alex, and you were fighting so hard and so well. I was like, oh, scared. I was scared.
I was hoping he heard me say that. I was like, Alex, they all turned on you. Like, that's your group.
That almost got me. Like, literally right there. I was like, you're kind of right.
I was like, please, just let me go. Like, I told you straight up. I was honest with you. I said I was voting for you. Your group did not even tell you, and they turned on you. Just vote for me. And I was hoping. And when he didn't, I was like, oh well, shoot.
Yeah. Alex, was there anything there that could have changed your mind, you think, on your drag?
It was really hard. The entire time I literally was listening and trying to I was trying to think and listen at the same time. It really wasn't working. Like, I didn't know who I wanted to drag at this point. I just was like you all deserve to continue through. And I was like, I don't know if I should stick with loyalty or I should stick with like feeling betrayed. So like I stuck with just being loyal because I was trying to do that mostly throughout the game. There was a couple times where I wasn't loyal, but like I tried to stick to that as much as possible. So that's kind of how I determined in the end.
So that brought us to the final two between Maddie and O'Rear. What were both of your thoughts getting there? Obviously, Michael, you've waited a long time to get to that spot. Did you both think that you had a really good shot at winning it? Did you think that you weren't going to win it? What were your thoughts?
So I didn't play a whole lot with Maddie. We weren't in the same rooms often. Like, I just didn't see a lot of that game. So from my perspective, and there were a lot of good moves, especially in the end game, like I said, that I really respected, but I could only see my story. So, and I was proud of my story, and I knew that I had some pretty good relationships. I would say like 5 out of 7 of them I had pretty good relationships with. So to be honest with you, I felt pretty confident about it. What can you do?
Yeah, I also, we just weren't in the same room for a lot of the game up until the end when everybody's in the same room always. And so I just also had no idea. And I thought, like I mentioned in one of my answers, like I'm not a very good speaker. And my notes were not very clear in terms of like I wrote down everything, but I didn't make it easy for myself to pick out what was actually important. So it was a situation where like literally after we ended, like I jumped into a Zoom call with some friends and they were all like, you did this, you did this, you did this. And I was like, oh, I didn't mention any of that. Like I totally just didn't mention any of it because I was just so nervous. And I figured that if I ever got to final 2, that like just my not being good at speaking would kind of screw me if I was with someone like as eloquent as Arir really was. And so yeah, I just had no idea what to expect.
Well, so my memory, like I know my memory is horrible, especially when I'm in these situations where things are going fast. Like I can't remember anything. So like one thing that I do every single time I play, I have a list and it's my case to win. And I just write down little points as I go through the game. And these are the things I'm going to bring up later on. So without those things, I would have been completely lost. But I knew that I had points that I really wanted. And yeah, like you said, like I've waited a long time for this. Like my first game was in April. I don't think a lot of people even remember that game. So
right. Yeah, I also knew that he had played before, and I think I'd seen him on Podquester a couple times or something too. So it was like I know that I'm not necessarily like that. He's someone who does have so much like passion for the game, and everyone knows that as well. Like I've played one game and I've tweeted about it like once and just sort of lurked places. So I was worried about that as well. But I also thought that I had friends in jury at that point. So I was hopeful that I had a shot at least.
Well, it's even more impressive that it was your second game. This happened on my 4th try, and it was a lot of trial and error. I tried different things. I tried different strategies, and I failed a lot. So like eventually, yeah, I'm going to get to the final 2 if I play enough. So, I mean, the fact that you did on your second time, that's really impressive.
Lana, Alex, what were your thoughts? Who did you vote for, and what was your thought behind the vote?
I can go first. Honestly, I had no idea who I was going to vote for going into it because I worked with both of you throughout the game. Like I've seen the stuff you've done. Like I've been in a lot of rooms with you guys, so I had an idea of what your games were, and I wasn't really sure. So it really went back and forth the entire time. I didn't even know what the question I was going to ask when I got to it. So the question I asked you, I was like, I don't know.
I answered your question so bad. I was like, is that the same as asking what your biggest move is? Like, I don't know. As soon as I was done, I was like, that wasn't the right answer. Like, I just brought up a random thing from like round like 10. Like, what was I doing? I don't know.
Yeah. In the end, I voted for you, Maddie, to win. And I just, I was really on the fence though, both the entire time. So.
I was waiting. I actually, because I was on the fence also about who I was going to vote for, and I wanted to make sure I listened to everything this time because my first game I didn't. I just voted with how I felt at the moment, and I realized that was more of an emotional vote than it was a game vote. And so I was like, I have to listen. And so I made sure I purposely listened to everybody's question. And I was like, and after my question, I still didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know, because I wanted to get that answer from what one of you to just say, bam, that was it. And I didn't get it up until that point. I was like, okay, I still don't know. I don't know what Maddie's game was because I didn't play a lot with you. I knew a little bit of Michael's game, but not a whole lot because we started in the room together, but we didn't end up in a lot of rooms together. So I didn't know a lot of his moves. And so I was like, okay, this final plea has got to be the deciding factor for me. And I was just like, okay, what happens? And after they play, I was like, Maddie didn't even get to finish her plea because she was in the middle, and it was like her 60 seconds was up.
I was just like trying to throw stuff. I was just trying to spit stuff out.
I was like, oh, okay. But I ended up voting for Michael in the end because I am loyal, and I'm loyal to a fault. And I told him I would always have his back, and so I voted for him to win in the end.
Thanks.
Always align with Lana in mini minis. If I have any advice, if you play a mini, align with Lana because she's got your back.
I'm loyal to a fault. Like, I said because after I got off the call and I jumped on a Zoom call with somebody, and they were like, Lana, why didn't you try to get Michael out when you had it? I was like, because I told him I wouldn't. And they were like, who did you vote for? I was like, I voted for him. Like, after he betrayed you like that, I was like, because I told him I would. That's just the player I am.
Well, and Lana, I think that it was the smart move from both of our standpoints, because I definitely think you saying loyal to me was beneficial because you could actually like crush me in the end. And I think turning on you from my perspective was also the best move because I thought that you could crush me in the end. So
and I don't know because everybody keeps saying you probably would have beat him, but from what I heard from a few people, if Alex would have made it to that final two, he would have won, hands down. They said if Alex made it to the final two,
his name was out there a lot.
Yeah. And they were like, Alex would have won. And I was like, against everybody. They were like, yeah, Alex would have won against everybody. That's what a lot of people in the jury was saying. And I was like, well, the person who was in the jury who I talked to, they were like, that's who it is. And I was like, that's interesting. So I'm glad it turned out the way it turned out. But I was like, I really wanted to be there just to plead my case. But we had a deserving final two, so it didn't even matter. This final four was awesome. We just knew it.
Every time I've ever played or watched Sequester, the drag just bothers me. I just don't like it. I was like, I would have rather been dragged.
Like, there's just
no. Oh my god. Okay, so I've been dragged at 10, which was crushing, but I think being dragged at 4 is even more crushing than being dragged at 10. And I was trying to figure out. I was like, being dragged at 10, I was like, oh, that sucked. But I was able to just get out of my feelings after a while. But being 4th and 3rd, rather, I was just like, that thing. I don't like that one at all. I was like, maybe I would rather get out at 5 before, because 4 and 3 is tough. That's hard.
Your heart's all the way in it. You're like, I could have this. And then
I almost had it. And it was like, shit, nope. It was so, like, I didn't want to come back in to give you y'all question, like, but I felt that. I was like, oh, this is so bad. And I was like, you need that minute from between you getting pulled out the game into the question to, like, I had to really pump myself, like, get it together, girl. Do not get back on that screen looking sour. Do not go back in there looking bitter. Like, because it's not fair to you, the two people left. It's like, how am I going to act like I'm bitter when it was the game? So I was like, it sucks being dragged to 4 though.
It's rare you see a mini where the entire final 5 could have won. Like, every single one of you had a case at final 2 as to why you should have won, and any combination wouldn't have been a combination of the final 5 that wouldn't have been like 4-3. I don't feel like. I feel like it would have been close no matter what 2 people of the final 5 were in the final 2, which was really cool to see, because I thought going in with O'Rear and Maddie, I had usually you can tell. None of us had any idea who was going to win. I thought it was really up in the air as to which one of you was going to take it home.
It really was.
O'Rear, I loved I feel like it's become a norm now since Dustin, but your pre-typed tweets, I think, are far and away better than anyone else's. I think you have the crown.
They're really good.
for the best scheduled tweets.
They're always so like that. Like, either I go out early and I look like an arrogant asshole, or like I get to the final 2 and I lose, and it's like super depressing because I'm like talking about, because I know, like, okay, about 11:30, I should be pleading my case at this point. And it's like, so I'm saying, like, oh, I'm about to win this game. And then it's like, I get out, and that's like the first thing I see. I'm like, damn. But I mean, yeah. So I got to credit Dustin. I saw him do that. I thought it was very funny. So, yeah, I really like being on Twitter and interacting with the Sequester community. So I think that's a cool way to do it while you're in the game.
I was going to do it. And I was like, I thought about it too late, and I was like, oh, I don't have time to make out all the tweets I wanted to make. And then I was like, but then I was like, what if I get out early? So I don't want to be making tweets like, oh, I should be made a jury by now. Oh, I know about it right now. And they were like, no, you didn't. I was like, no, my ego and my mental state wouldn't have took that. So I was like, I'm just gonna be quiet.
And Podquester did not sleep on you. They did not sleep on you last night.
I just wanted to, it was like, because I wanted to, like, again, I wanted to interact with people. So I was trying to tag people. And actually, when in Slumber Party, like, every one of my tweets had somebody tagged, and I was going to be really mean to them. So I was glad that I went early in that game.
And Maddie, your game, it was so great to see you play again. Like after, I mean, you know, I was a big fan of you the first time, and then seeing you play again and come back and do so well was amazing. And I keep hyping it. I've probably hyped it too much at this point that I've put too much pressure on you, but your videos, you make my favorite videos of anyone in all of Sequester. It is everything to me. It is totally my aesthetic and, you know, like slightly weird and creepy and unsettling. Yes, that is everything that I love. And I'm so happy I get to see another video from you at Winners at War, because I feel like people always go all out at Winners at War.
Now.
Yeah.
I watched that, Maddie, and I was sitting in that room like, what is happening? But I was like, I didn't know what's happening. I don't know how long this may go on, but I want to see every second of it. Like the stuff was let loose, and I was like,
it took me so many takes. I ate probably like 25 leaves, and after I finished that video, like my stomach hurt. Like I was like, I know that these are non-toxic, but like my stomach hurt.
I thought it was like spinach or something. Like
no, it was
actual, like leaves.
Like I literally plucked leaves from the trees around me and was like the ones that didn't have like too many like weird spots on them or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that was definitely part of like my strategy. I feel like because the first even the first game that I played, I was like, I know that I can get past at least the first couple of rounds just on a good intro. Like nobody's gonna target somebody if they have an intro that's sort of like somehow is fun or unexpected or whatever. So I did that for my first game, and that did, I feel like, get me to a certain point, and then I just kind of got unlucky with people pinning things on me. And so for this one, I was like, well, of course, first of all, now it's all like hyped up, so I have to make another intro that's kind of crazy. And so I did that again, and I think that also helped me here. But also, I just switched rooms more. Like, I forgot to mention that as something that I did differently from my last game, because last game I was too afraid to switch rooms because I was like, I don't want to be rude. And like this game, I like switched rooms because that's what you're supposed to do in this game.
That's the key. I also love that you had a moment there with Dylan when you were in the room alone by yourself.
That's the reason that I know what Sequester is in the first place. Like, I'm not really into the like reality shows that much. I've watched like 3 seasons of Big Brother, and that's like it. But then Dylan, I know him from way back, and he was always tweeting about it. And so I was like, what is this?
Nice.
Watching.
Yeah, I thought it was nice that he was modding the game, that you got your crown.
Yeah,
that was great. But yeah, I mean, it was a great mini. It was a lot of fun to watch. Like, we went into it not really knowing what to expect, and I think it lived up to the hype. There weren't too many like crazy twists aside from a dance contest, but I think overall it was really entertaining.
I was so worried.
That was ridiculous. I was like, why are we dancing? I was so glad I had Stacey that round because I was not putting my all into that dance. I was like, I can't do it. Like, why are we doing it? First of all, I was sitting on the floor, so I was like, I'm too old to be getting up and down trying to dance, so I wasn't doing that. And second of all, I was like, and then when the music played, I was like, oh, Kevin, oh, really? We're dancing to Kevin. Shout out to Kevin Falk. We love you, but come on.
I really feel like that helped my game so much, just that one round. I think if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have been this far.
Because you guys stayed pretty tight after that round too, right?
Every time I had a chance like to get in a room with any of them, I was like, hey, we're still good about that alliance.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Strategy through dance. It does happen. Thank you also. Let's show the Twitters. We love the Twitters. Follow all of these wonderful Twitters. And thank you all so much for coming on today. Like I said, I think this was I think this is a mini that will be remembered for a while.
It was fun.
What a great winner representing us in Widows at War. I'm just saying, she's going to do awesome.
Thank you.
Well, we'll have to get the whole game on a Zoom call so we can watch while you play Winners at War.
Yes.
Thank you to our mods as always. Thank you to Will from America for the theme song. We will be back in, let's see, it's 3 hours for another Fresh Meat Mini, which should be exciting. I heard that there's pretty good women representation tonight, I believe, after Audrey sent out that tweet. So that will be exciting. So thank you, all of you, for joining. Thank you to everyone in the chat, as always, for watching. And until a couple hours from now, we will see you out there. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.